is Jay Dobbins, and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into these guys and make yourself better.
Welcome, everybody. You're listening to the Fishbowl Radio Network on FBRN.us and on Facebook Live. And you're probably noticing right about now that something's a little different. This is 12, and I'm here with my buddy...
Mongo.
Here with my buddy Mongo, and we're missing our brother Sideshow. He's nearby, but not in the studio with us today. So welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you. Today's a special show. It's going to be a little bit different than what we normally do. Although chaos is the order of the day for us normally, so it may not be too much out there. Today is Back the Blue Day, and we wanted to make an emphatic statement about our support for local law enforcement, and so we're going to do just that. We've got Sideshow down in parking lot B here at Globe Life Park, where our studio is located, 1000 Ballpark Way. It's in between Globe Life and the brand new Texas Ranger Stadium, and he'll be coming to us live from that location, and we've got a few things in store for you to help us honor the Blue, the Dallas Five, and couple of other things on the agenda for you. So, Mongo, what's up today?
Well, I will tell you something I just discovered. Since you signed into the account and not Sideshow, I've got the same problem that you always have. I can't share this with anybody. I shared it with my groups, but I can't share it with any individuals. So it has something to do with how this stuff is being signed in. I figured that out.
So we learned something. I noticed that as I was signing in, because I signed in over there, I couldn't share it with as many people as what I normally do. So
yeah, well, I shared it with groups, but I can't share it with individuals. So hopefully you all are out there. You got notified on Facebook, and you're listening anyway.
So if you are listening right now, we would ask that you like the show, go to the 99% Network Facebook page, like it, and share it with your friends and groups that you think might be interested in checking us out. So, Mongo, got anything on the agenda that we need to talk about before we hear from Sideshow?
On the agenda, well, our bridge project is moving along, and there's been some good news recently, but we're still not at liberty to divulge it. But we are moving along, and looks like September is going to be a go for us for the bridge project.
September is going to be a really good month. I just can't wait. I hate to keep teasing, but that's just the nature of the beast. I can't wait till we get to bust this information out there. Or I should say I'm busting a gut to put this out there, because it really is going to be significant. It's going to have I think, a huge impact in our geographical area and for the people that are involved with this project, from organizers to participants to people that might come there for one thing or another.
Well, I think ultimately we're going to get a state designation, and if we can ever get on track to get a federal designation, we're going to be cooking.
So what we can say, though, is that what we've been teasing all along, the wheels are actually moving. Is that fair to say that the wheels are now moving and the appropriate parties are lined up and in play?
Well, the analogy that I used talking to the club was building a Swiss watch with gears and cogs. All the gears and cogs have to be put together properly to make them all turn in the right direction and turn at the proper time to show the correct time. The gears and cogs are all in place and they're starting to be turned, so everything is working. Everything's on schedule at this point. So we're moving right along.
So this frickin' COVID has knocked a loop in everybody. Our August 1st event has been postponed for the foreseeable future, at least through August 4th. Just to refresh our listeners' memory, you want to tell them what that was all about?
We had the August 1st Veterans was it Veterans Memorial? What do we call that?
Veterans Victory Celebration.
Veterans Victory Celebration, where we were going to do a 40s themed comedy show. We were going to have it. We're going to do it at the new Allen Harley Davidson location in Allen, but basically we had some vehicles from the Texas Military Heritage Museum were going to come out. We had the comedians were going to come out in a 1940s Bob Hope style of USO style of show. We had the girls from Harley Davidson that do the
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland,
I'm sorry, his name from California.
Tim Chambers.
Tim Chambers was scheduled to come out. We had everything lined up for this show. It was going to initiate with a ride throughout DFW and then end with the comedy show. And because of COVID and our limitation on people that we can have assembled, we can't do that on August 1st. So that got delayed again. It'll happen. We just have to wait till all this COVID passes, and then so if we all wear our face masks that are all, absolutely necessary and effective, then it'll all go away. But I did notice.
Do you feel safer now?
I did notice. I do. Thank you very
Good,
much.
good.
He just put his face mask up. I noticed as we were pulling up to the stadium today to the radio station that the water park right next to the freeway was absolutely packed, and people were standing in line, nuts to butts, with no masks on. But I did point out to 12 that there is a huge chain link fence topped with razor wire at the top, which prevents the COVID virus from entering the park. So if y'all put those things up around your houses, y'all be safe.
Yeah. I don't get it why the lakes the beaches are closed, but you can have them, asshole to belly button over there at the water park, laughing, giggling. That COVID is pretty damn smart. Must be.
It's elusive.
Very. So it's hit us all hard, but we'll get to the meat of while we're here. We can joke around about it, but it's hit everybody hard, and it's made planning activities hard, and everybody's been canceling out at least through the 4th here in Texas. I don't know how it is in other states. If y'all have suffered setbacks because of this recent outbreak of COVID, and you want to talk about it, how it's affected your rides and things like that, we're more than happy to talk to you. 214-556-6239, 214-556-6239, and the phone is ringing out here.
That might be Sideshow.
Might be. Sideshow, you're on the air.
Sideshow.
Hey, brother. Sideshow.
Well, it's either Sideshow or somebody by a waterfall.
Sideshow. We can hear you. Come on. You're on the air.
What's going on, brothers? Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can hear you.
You sound great.
Can you hear me? Hold on.
Can we hear you now?
Hey,
Yes.
can you hear me and see me?
We can hear you. We cannot,
cannot
see
see
you.
you.
Apparently, you can't hear us.
Can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hey, why don't you text him a message real quick and
Yep,
tell him
I'm
we
here.
Technology is great, and we're sorry, folks. This is the first time we've.
Can you hear me? Can
yep,
you hear me?
We can hear you, brother.
All right.
We can
All
hear
right,
you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Well, you can't see me yet?
Nope.
Come on, turn the video on.
Oh, you can see him? We can't see him. Okay. Yes, we can see you on the screen in the station now. In the
Why don't
studio.
you call me? Call me.
Oh, you're on, buddy. You're on the air.
Call me. Call me.
You're on the air. Don't hang up. He just did. All right. You want to dial him back? Thank you so much.
So, you think you'll understand? We can hear you, damn it.
All right. Are we there yet?
We can hear you.
We can hear you, brother.
Are we there yet?
Hey, John, what's going on? This is Angelo here in the studio. We can hear you loud and clear. Are you able to hear us?
Hey, can you hear?
It might be your headphones, John. I don't know. We can hear you.
I can hear you guys.
I just don't think you guys can.
I can hear you guys.
Oh, good. You can hear us now? Can you hear me now? Somebody's saying, I can hear him telling you that you can hear us and see us.
Look up. He can see and hear you. He can see you and hear you.
He could see me? Yeah. Oh, all right.
Well, as I was
Perfect.
saying,
The second message wasn't so nice.
we apologize. This is the first time that we've tried to do this. We're trying
Yeah,
to
so you could see me and hear me, so you're fine.
have another beer, Sideshow. All right. We got you, brother. Go ahead. Everybody can see and hear you.
All right, listen. We are here in Globe Life Park. We are here in the parking lot. All right, so 12, shut up. We are here. And, all right. And we got a whole bunch of guys back in the blue here today. It is about 100 degrees out here, and with the index probably about 110.
Now I can see the bikes.
Hold on.
Looks like you got a little crowd out there, Sideshow.
So what we're doing here today is we want to make sure that our law enforcement officers who gave their not too bad.
I think I see part of the problem. There's probably about a 10-second delay between us talking and you hearing,
All right.
and you
So-
talking and us hearing.
We are back in the blue. We are supporting our law enforcement. We are supporting the 700,000 law enforcement. Yeah, there's. Law enforcement officers throughout the United States. There is a delay. Just let me finish the opening. All right. So we are looking at 700,000 officers throughout the United States. And what we are going to do is we are going to support them 100%. We cannot allow mob rule. We cannot allow social justice to hurt our officers. We had 110 officers killed in the line of duty this year alone. That's way too much. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are Texas strong and we are backing them 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold a quick moment of silence for the 110 officers that were killed this year. I'm going to read off their names because you're going to remember their names. Yep, it's facing right here.
Our Dallas 5 that were killed July 7th. Sergeant Michael Smith, Police Corporal Aarons, Police Officer Mike Rowe, Police Officer Patrick Samariba, Dart Officer Brent.
Those killed in the line of duty since January 1 to today, July 8th. Ryan Fortini, Jackson Paul Dunn, Nicholas Rena, Jared Taylor, Tiffany Byland, Kovac Kamana, sorry if I messed up that name, Sheldon Gordon, Catherine Tyne, Angelette Moore, Matthew Sedgwick, Alan Daniel, Richard Whitten, Nick O'Rear, Joseph Bullock,
Mary Lou Armour, Sipra Sooth, aka Bud, Jeff Hopkins, Kenneth Moore, Terrell Young, Marco DeFranco, Shannon Bennett, Justin Schaefer, James Sanders, Ben Jenkins, Greg Carnicle, Raymond Andrew, Kirk Coker.
More of those brave individuals that have given their lives for us: for Christopher Ewing, Jonathan Goodman, Dan Walters, Akbar Shazzabar, Joseph Capariello, Gary Walker, Ronald Newman, Justin Putman, Sheila Rivera, Kathleen Colley, William McCain, Lawrence Only.
God bless all these people. Damon Gutzweiler, Johan Mordon, Thomas Ogungbury, James Blair, Dale Thomas, Julian King, John Songji, Caleb Rule, Waldis Johnson, Stephen Williams, Efren Coronel, and Andy.
I want to thank the men and women that gave their lives. They gave their ultimate sacrifice for us. Knox, Richard O'Brien Jr., Michael Mosier, Omar Palmer, Lionel Martinez, Raymond Solonsky, T. Bolton, Maria Mendez, Anton Jones, George Rivera. Thank you.
Thank you, all the heroes we will never forget. James O'Connor, Christopher Walsh, Kentarius Taylor, Christopher Corzilis, Amanda DeLeon, Kaya Grant, Jonathan Parnell, Kenneth Lester, James Kirk, Donna Below, Shirley Lanning, David Kellywood, Andrea Gillette, Brent Scrimshire.
I'd like to keep all the families in our prayers. Miguel Ortiz, Alexander Petaway, Glenn Uto Jr., John Andrew, Coy Kaufman Jr., James Coleman, Mark Hall Sr., Randall French, Timothy Fiunte, Richard McCoy.
Thank you to the men and women that gave up their lives to support and protect this great nation we have. We appreciate your service and your sacrifice. Charles Roberts, Fela Adebayo, Jose Vasquez, Ching Yan, Beresford Morris, Mauser, George Baker, Eugene Barron, Cody Hoyt, Nathan Hade.
You shall get your sacrifice. Alteric Patterson, Francesco Scorpo, Jeremy Ledoux, Jose Fontanes, Joseph Spinoza, Alex Ruperto, Jose Diaz Ayala, Calvin Wilker, Brianne Lee, Clifford Martin Sr., Terry Engel, Robert Seelon.
No greater love
and then lay down his life for his brothers. To my brothers who've laid down this year: Dustin Lagiza, Michael Lee, Lynn Jones, Richard Bianchi, Dale Moulter, Craig Johnson, Jason Judd, and just on the 4th of July, Anthony Dia, whose last was on the radio, or tell my family I love them. May they rest in peace.
As you see, this is a solemn moment for our nation. That's 110 names, and that's 110 families, and that's 110 wives and husbands and children that saw their loved ones go to work to protect our great nation, to protect our communities, to make us feel safe. They didn't go out there for any other reason, but laid down their lives for strangers, for people they didn't know, for people that hated them. They laid down their lives to protect you and me. We talk about defunding. We talk about stripping police officers of their pension. We talk about indicting police officers for doing their job. And I'm not saying for excessive force. I'm saying for doing their job. Mob rule and politicians have gotten away with hurting our police departments across the nation. Everybody knows what happened in Minneapolis was a tragedy. But we can't let one police officer or 4 bad police officers have a tsunami effect across our nation to the other 700,000 sworn officers who go out there every single day to do their job and protect us. We have to stand up. We have to stand up for our law enforcement because they cannot do it right now. They are being ridiculed. They are being silenced. They are being handcuffed not to do their jobs. We have to be the voice for them, and that's why we are here today. And I want to thank everybody for coming here today. We have Maria Acevedo from the Peace Officer Angel Foundation. Now, Maria, you were instrumental for years with duty injuries that our officers have faced, right? Now, to see that our officers, especially in New York, our politicians want to strip our officers of their pensions and make them get their own liability insurance. How is that going to affect officers across the nation when they can't even get help due to injuries?
That's so true. Our officers, when they become injured, they rely on workman's comp. They rely on our communities to assist them. And oftentimes they're denied their service, and they have to go through a tough journey just they need to be. And a lot of them, unfortunately, have to leave law enforcement. And for so many, it's a calling. It's not something that they want to do. It's a calling. And we appreciate all of them. And we do need to, all officers, we need to stand up for them. We can't sit on our hands and just let them go out and protect and serve all of us, because we know that they're out there putting on their uniforms every day for each and every one of us.
That's just one voice, and it's powerful. Think about the millions of voices throughout our country that are being, because they're afraid to stand up for our law enforcement. They're afraid to back our blue, afraid to stand side by side. We have to, as American citizens, as a nation, we have to back our law enforcement, or we will have nothing but anarchy. We will have Marxist rules. We will have burned down cities. We will have crime rates that are skyrocketing in Seattle, Chicago, New York. You see it on the news. That could happen here in Dallas. That could happen into any small town. We have to stand up. We have to back. Now, also with duty injuries, I spoke to Karen Solomon of Blue Health this morning. 90 officers have taken their lives to date from January. 90. So that shows the struggles our officers are going through. Our officers are not only going out there putting their lives on the line, are being affected by post-traumatic stress on and off the job. They are leaving the job and own lives, leaving behind families. This has got, Sam, are you around? Yeah. Me and Sam pushed the Mad Radio show together. Now, Sam, you've been working with law enforcement for a long time. You've been a Secret Service agent. You've wore a uniform as well in Maryland, right? The post-traumatic stress. We got 110 officers killed in the line of duty. We have 90 who took their own lives. We're looking on 200, and we're only half of the year gone. What are your thoughts?
I mean, there's so many great programs out there. I mean, we started a Badge of Honor. If you want to look us up at badgeofhonor.com. We believe in true partnership and networking. If you are out there struggling, if you need help, please reach out to us. We will put you in touch with solutions that actually work. We are not another smoke and mirror 501c3 XYZ out there. We have solutions that work, and it is all about managing stress. And whether you think you might have post-traumatic stress injury, or you just need help managing the day-to-day stresses, because not everybody has post-traumatic stress, right?
Correct.
We have solutions out there. So reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. We will listen. We are there for you. And it's all about continuing to serve, because we're both post the badge, right?
Correct.
But it is about
post the badge. And you know, me and you have both had our battles. Like I'm sure most of the people here have had their battles. And now coming to the front lines on every media station is what police officers throughout the country have tried to hide for so long. They tried to hide what their job is about from their family members, so their family was not affected or more scared of them going out and trying to do their job. Turn on Fox, you turn on CNN, you turn on NBC, you see the violence, you see the disrespect that our officers get. That affects a husband, a wife, children in their home as well. These are the things that which officers were trying to protect their family from. Can't protect them no more. So now we're seeing more families with post-traumatic stress incidents than ever before. And it's I don't know when this will turn around. Secondary trauma. I don't know when this will turn around. So, like I said, that's why we have to sit here and support our blue line. I want to introduce Bruce McAlery from the Post-PTSD Foundation of America. Bruce.
How you doing, Sancho?
Thank you. Thank you for showing up here today. And, you know, I know you deal with a lot of veterans. You know, can't forget about our veterans as well. But, you know, have you seen an uptick in the amount of people that are coming to PTSD of America for help this year?
Absolutely. I manage the Dallas-Fort Worth area PTSD Foundation of America. And not only are our combat veterans in general, the numbers we're seeing are dramatically higher. We've never seen this as high as what it is today. Not only locally, we actually have our own crisis line as well. And also, which is answered by a combat veteran on the other end of the phone. In addition to that, we have peer-to-peer mentorship groups on Monday night online. These are all on Zoom, but they're 100% confidential and they are locked. So nobody can go in there and, you know, find out if you're on there, if you need help. One thing you don't have to fear is if you're in law enforcement, first responder, you don't have to the department finding out and you know, taking your badge, putting you on desk duty, anything like it's 100% confidential. I personally spoke with a young lady today, and I've been talking with her for the last 2 weeks off and on, and she's at the edge of the cliff. And, you know, one thing that I did last night was I called Sideshow and made one phone call. He in turn called Sam. The two of them worked together in a network fashion and called Kevin from Help for Heroes and got her in this morning. I've been able to do in the last couple of weeks just because of the enormous demand on the system, okay, on the help system. And so as a network, all the different organizations, individuals working together, there's no no doubt that we can save lives. Okay, both the first responders and the veterans. You're definitely not alone. Cry out to someone because we're here for you. You're not alone. Thank you.
You know, perception. I want perception a little bit. You see that I'm wearing a cut, a leather vest. Okay. A lot of our members, a lot of our law enforcement rescue personnel are in what they call law enforcement motorcycle clubs, or LEMCs. We have some of those guys here today. Big love. Come on in. I want, you know, I can't thank you enough, brother, for being here today, supporting our blue. You know, big love, big president of Invictus, and tell us a little about your
So yeah, Invictus is a law enforcement, military, first responders, and then we have some like-minded brothers in our organization. I'm the president of the original chapter, which is Phoenix. We've got 8 other chapters currently right now within the area and all the way out to Minnesota. What we like to do is we like to offer support, show a lot of love to kids that are struggling, to law enforcement families. We just went this last weekend to Robert Foscos, that was a Crowley firefighter that was killed in a motorcycle accident. Showed respect to him and his family. We rolled in over 30 motorcycles and showed them some love. His daughter did survive that accident. So as we reach out to children with cancer, it's all about serving. We believe that our responsibility is to serve and to show love and respect, no matter who you are, what color you are, what your background is, or what your beliefs are.
There you go, bro.
Invictus stands for unconquerable. Phoenix stands from up from the ashes. Much love and much respect to what you guys are doing, brother.
You know, we talk about this on the 99% radio all the time about the contributions that our law enforcement motorcycle clubs make. And there's one here today that I have such a heartfelt, warming feeling for. And I want to introduce you, Shiner, up, because this man, I mean, he looks like he ripped your head off, right? But he's got the kindest heart in the world. He has battled bullying in our schools and for our children throughout North Texas, and actually it's starting to lift up across the country.
That's right. You're going multiple state now. It's a beautiful
Multiple
thing.
state. So Shiner, tell us a little bit about Bikers Against Bullying and how you support our children.
Before we start with the children, I first want to say Southern Dogs supports our Red and Blue 100%. We are a LEFF club, law enforcement firefighter club, along with veterans and like-minded people. We enjoy helping out veterans, police officers, their families, firefighters, homeless people, and also children, of course. As far as Bikers Against Bullying, I'm the founder of Bikers Against Bullying North Texas. With that program, what we like to do is we find children that are in the area or even outside of the area where we can get some bikes to, take care of their needs, whether it's buy new clothing for them, get them a makeover, escort to school. Every kid that we encounter gets an escort to school with about 20 to 50 bikes, which is an amazing thing when they see these bikes rolled in. We do follow-ups with them, make sure you go to lunch with them. Anything these kids need, sure that they're no longer being bullied in this world. Because bullying is an epidemic. It really is. On average, 14 children die a day just from being bullied, which is a very, very astronomical number of children. It should be 0. You know, learn to love each other and treat each other to be treated. That's what we preach. But today we're about Back in the Blue and showing them the love and support they deserve. Because you know what? They are being beat and they're being bullied by all these government entities, the liberal side, all these fascists, Marxists are just destroying our police department. We need to take a stand and stand up for our blue as they stand up for us.
Thank you, brother. When we talk about support, it's with just the amount of people we have here, the love we have for our law enforcement. And if we could just turn around real quick, I want to introduce you to one other person, just this way. I want to introduce another guy who has his heart so much into this that he takes his own time, he takes his own money, he spends countless hours escorting families of fallen officers, family members of our police officers to their final resting place. He has spent numerous times when the department can't step up or they do not have the personnel to provide the family with a service. Laszlo, you were with you're the chief motor officer for
Dallas-Fort Worth Gateway.
Dallas-Fort Worth Gateway. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
We provide escort service for veterans, and like this Sunday, we have a police officer who's retired, but his mother got COVID-19, and he didn't get to see his mom for 22 days, and then she died, and so we're going to escort her remains this Sunday up to Cook County to a little place called the Tyson Cemetery up there outside of Valley View.
Where are you meeting?
And we're doing that. We're going to be meeting at the Jack in the Box at Basswood and I-35, and about 1:30, and we're going to pull out kickstands up to 2 o'clock. We're going to go to his house. He's going to drive his mother's car with her ashes, and we're going to drive it up to the cemetery, and we're going to bury her next to her husband. And so the Blue Angels are coming, and several other Blue Knights. Blue Knights. It's hot out here. And anybody else is welcome to come join us. We will have the Fort Worth Police Department getting us onto the freeway, and then I'll have escort people that'll be escorting them the rest of the way up to Lone Oak Road, and then we're going to take a break there briefly and then go to the graveside. It's going to be hot, 102 degrees, so we hope people will come out and support this officer. He's retired from the district attorney's office, but he used to work at Azle PD and got 28 years of service in law enforcement. So we do stuff like that. I've gone up to Oklahoma, and the Coleman fire chief, when he was electrocuted, they asked me to come up and escort him, and I just rode in front of the fire truck 3 miles an hour to the graveside. Great for the clutch. And but that's what we do. And so I escort all the other funerals in order to make the money so that we can donate our time and services to those particular services that need the support. And I'm also involved with John and Sam and Jeff going out and spreading the word to other departments about it's okay not to be okay if you're a police officer. And basically I spread the word and try to get information out so that they're interested in having them come out and speak. And hopefully we can be up in Oklahoma soon and talking to the departments up there, because they're losing officers up there as well. So that's basically what we do. It's just started out in law enforcement in 1973 when I was 13 years old as a Board Scout. And I've been doing it ever since as a fireman, policeman, and paramedic.
Well, thank you, Laszlo, for everything you do. Appreciate it. And
sure, John.
Let's talk this. I don't know if we're on a big delay, but 12, if you could hear me, we're going to be sending up Maria and another guest from the Peace Officers Angel Foundation. They're going to be in the studio momentarily, and then when they're done, we're going to bring up Big Love and some of the LEMCs. But let's talk to some of the supporters that are here today. Hi.
Hi.
What brings you guys down here? Just tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you're back in the blue.
Well, we kind of have family members that are falling into defunding the police, and we just want to tell them that this is not the move to make, and that he is an ex-police officer, 24 years military.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
We're kind of perplexed as to why they see that as a good movement to follow. So we're just trying to be out and set an example and give our love and support. Because
now, as a family of law enforcement, and as being a retired law enforcement military veteran, when you hear the words defund or disband the police, what does that? How does that make you feel when you hear that on the news?
I just want to go out and just scream at everybody that's saying let's support that, because they don't understand what the police do for us. Even if it's just generally going down the street and saying hi to somebody, there's so much more than just arresting people, and they need to understand that it's a lot deeper than arresting you.
Right.
Yes. I think the most important thing is put yourself in these police officers' shoes. They do their work day in, day out. If you can understand that, then you know what they're going through every day. So it's important that some of these people out there that raising all these ruckus saying police brutality. It's not what it is.
It's not what it is.
Put yourself in their shoes with just 1 or 2 days, and you appreciate their job, what they do.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Man, our special guests just arrived all the way from Gainesville, Texas, in this 107-degree heat. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit him on camera, but he is a gentle giant, man. I want to welcome Doug and Debbie. Carol Hutchinson from, I was thinking about Debbie Salas. I was just speaking to her with, Doug and Carol Hutchinson. They came all the way down here from Gainesville. Doug, you have so many years on the police department in many different fashions, right? Through law enforcement, through the cattle. I don't know what
about 30 years in city law enforcement. Retired from Irving PD, and now I did a little over 9 years with the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association. As a special ranger commissioned by the DPS, working cattle thefts and horse around Texas.
And when people feel that cattle ranchers and cattle theft is not a big thing, it's back from the bonanza days. In the 40s and 50s, it's very prevalent.
Yeah,
it's very prevalent. Very a dangerous job. So I do want to promote your book. All right, I do want to promote your book because it really puts behind everything that we're doing here today in supporting our law enforcement. You guys put together a book that really captures the moment of each officer throughout Texas. So if you could just explain your book to us.
We traveled over 15,000 miles, and we interviewed 103 officers, and we took photographs. So we had this big idea to do this, and then we started to ask them some questions, and what we were getting back were just amazing stories. So we decided to put this book together so that the citizens would know how much these people care, these men and women care about the people that they're out there to protect. And, just in line with what John says is, these guys, some of them told the most heartbreaking stories, and then they would tell us, and I've never told anyone this before. And, a lot of great advice is in the book. Several officers would say, talk to someone, don't try to swallow it all yourself. And so anyway, that's kind of a short story, but
it's called Behind the Texas Badge, and surely a labor of love, and we've been successful with the thing and really enjoyed promoting it. But we just wanted to do good for law enforcement. The beating that the mainstream media is giving them is just not fair. It's not right. It's not true.
That's what we were just talking about on. We were talking to retired law enforcement. There's a lot of our police officers out there today are handcuffed and stifled, so they cannot say what they without any repercussions on top of them. So it's up to us as retired officers to be their voice. 39 years in law enforcement. When you turn on Fox, when you turn on CNN or ABC or whatever, and you see the words defund, dismantle, cut the budgets, what goes through your head? What goes through your mind? 30 in law enforcement.
It's infuriating because it's just it's so misinformed on what is really going on. And if they would take time to research the statistics and law enforcement officer involved shootings or the number of officers killed each year, when those people shouting all this stuff, they found a police do this. Well, when you can tell the name of one officer that's been this year, then we'll talk about that.
Right.
But otherwise, I really don't want to hear it.
Right.
It's just infuriating.
Do you think that it's more mob rule and the mainstream media and politicians and our wing politicians for a different agenda are kind of throwing our good 700 sworn law enforcement officers under the bus for their own political gain?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? Well, it's just these stories, and I read these stories online, heavy, and it's just not true, and it's not fair the way they're being treated. And my heart breaks for them. It really does. I just, and if you guys are out there, research it yourself, and find out how many get this. I think the statistics are less than 0.5% of that 700,000 officers are in kind of criminal wrongdoing annually. And that number has held true for years and years and years. Less than 0.5% annually of that 700,000. Those are pretty good numbers, and something nobody's perfect.
Right.
Well, but we'll never rid ourselves of that because with the human element, that's the issue.
It's not
The key word there, human element.
It's Italian.
Police officers are human. They're not robots. I think what the public receives are police officers throughout the country as bots that we could just program in, and that they will. That during a life-threatening situation, everybody's a little differently. Everybody's going to have a different mindset. So, what looks like a kill to one person is self-defense to another. And we have all these social media, PhD, COVID-19, law enforcement, which from Facebook and Instagram, that think they know. And what happens is, comes a cancer that spreads across social media, and then what we get is looting. We get businesses being burned down. We get provoked assault, law-abiding citizens, and we have nobody who's in that dividing line to save our people. So our mainstream media has to stop, and they have to look at what our police department do. The 700,000 officers, and I said this in the beginning, if you just catch up, 700,000 sworn officers, I would say 99.9% of them who watched the George Floyd video knew it was wrong. It was murder. Knew it was excessive. Knew that the other 3 officers should have stepped up and did something. We never said it was the right thing to do. But being held accountable for the actions of 4 officers. We are ruining the lives of 700,000 officers for the actions of 4 officers in Minneapolis that shouldn't have been on the job to begin with, right? So instead of defunding, instead of dismantling, we can always restructure and move with the times. Better, all right? Less repercussions on officers that weed out the bad. That's what we need to do. We have to have our officers not be scared, not be afraid to right the wrong. And that's we have to teach them that in the academy. Because with the George, we had an officer there with 4 days on the job. And what happens? He doesn't know which way to turn. He's got to go by the senior officer, which in this case had 18 or 19 past complaints. Not really a good training model for a new officer. So those are things we have to look at. We have to look at the structure, the interior, and we have to, instead of defund, put more money into our law enforcement to make them better, to make them understand, and to make them be able to handle different situations. So, you drove the car? What's your name? Richard. When we talk about, I just want to jump onto the Peace Officers Angel Foundation real quick, as Maria and another person are going up to the studio. You got the pleasure of driving this fine vehicle. Let's take a look at this. What is the story behind this vehicle?
1937 Dodge I bought down on the other side of Waco, 2014. It was a mess. The hood was white, front lip was white, had no chrome whatsoever, had no interior in. So when I first bought the car, I thought about taking the sign off, taking the light off. And then when the guy brought it to me, everybody, Tarrant County constable stopped and loved the car, and then about 25 other people stopped and loved it like it was. And so I've never changed my mind in my life. And I changed my life right then and there. And and I put it back in the best police car I could ever do for law enforcement, for the men and women in law enforcement. This is.
Got it?
Yeah, and that's. So I've worked on it since 2014. I got lights on underneath it. Siren works. It's real loud. It's louder than anything Fort Worth is not. They pulled me over one day and wanted to hear my. I told her, so no, you siren. Oh yeah, we want to hear your siren. Then when I hit it, that's louder than any damn thing we got. So it's been a lot of fun with this car, and it's been some hard times. I had some people. One
You probably got to keep it under wraps now, right?
Yeah. I've never leave my car out of sight. So yeah, and I got all 12 different signs. I got Fort Worth sign. I got Tarrant County Sheriff's Department, Johnson County Sheriff's
On the other
Department,
side?
Arlington Police. Yeah.
Side.
It's the same. Yes, that's the story on the car. Yeah, but they're magnetic signs. See, I've got a sign on there. One, two. So I do stuff for Saginaw Police.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's my website. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for doing this because
Yeah.
this shows a lot of support for our Blue. All right, so what we're going to do is 12 and Mongo, we're going to go back into the studio because I think Maria should be up in the studio.
Yeah.
And then we are going to come back. After Maria comes down, we'll come back and we're going to hopefully the crowd will get a little bit bigger. But until then, we're going to be out here in the parking lot of Texas Globe Life Park, Texas Ranger Stadium. We're going to support our Blue until about 5:30 today. So come down, show your support. Back to you, Mongo and 12.
When we come back to the studio because they're not up here yet.
Okay, go 7 now.
Just give it about a 10-second count, then start broadcasting.
What's up? Hey, hold on 1 second.
All right, and welcome back to the studio. We're going to take a quick commercial break right here, and then we'll be back with our guest in studio. Give them some time to get from the parking lot up here to the third floor. So stand by, stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Fifth Avenue Nutrition of Garland is a twist on your normal coffee or donut shop.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
At Fifth Avenue, we proudly serve T Black Rifle Company brand coffee. At Fifth Avenue,
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need.
Visit us at 414
Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
With so many different loan programs out there, you need to choose the one that's right.
Come
for
on
you.
in and take a
That's
trip
why
down
our
memory
agents
lane in
our
Garland,
realtors are
Texas
highly
at
trained.
TLC
Find a loan
on the
that
Lake,
fits your budget.
located at 4881 Bass Pro
Integrity
Drive.
We've adopted through our military service.
Step in
Our knowledge
and
of
enjoy our
military
made-from-scratch
VA benefits
meals.
is what
It'll make
stands
you feel like
apart
you're
from
back
disability
in Grandma's
realtors.
kitchen.
So give us a call at 214-998-3842 or drop in at 7200
Our friendly
West
staff
University
is
Street,
always ready to serve you and
McKinney,
take care of
Texas.
your every
Serve
need.
your country. Now let Warriors Agency Group.
Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
Wide variety of delicious drinking concoctions, ranging from specialty coffee.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive.
Brand coffee.
Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
Visit us at 414 West Avenue D, Garland, Texas. Open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need.
Delicious and fun.
Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard.
Warriors Agency Group in McKinney.
If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
The values and the integrity we've adopted through our military service.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive.
Or drop in at
Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
Now let Lori's Agency Group serve you.
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512. Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals.
In our short 1 year of existence, so please forgive the technical problems that we encounter. It happens. It's live radio, and we're actually learning how better to present the 99% Radio Network to you. Trying out some new things that we plan for the future, where we actually can come to you. You know, the 99% Radio Network is all about making a difference in the community and highlighting what the 99% motorcycle community does, their rides, their charities, their bikes, things about their patch, all things 99% motorcycling. And we have it in our plan to ultimately be able to come out and broadcast live from your events. And so this is kind of a practice run for that, so forgive the technical glitches. But now back to the topic at hand. We're talking about backing the blue. Mongo, I was listening to some of the comments out there, and a thought struck me, and you can talk about this from firsthand experience. It seems like today, and we want to make clear, none of us want to have anything to do with a dirty cop. We don't want to have anything to do with... Somebody's calling in. Go ahead and answer. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on the 99% Radio Network.
Hi. My name is Tim Chambers. I've been watching you guys. Outstanding program today.
Hey, Tim. How's it going, brother?
And good, sir. And I'm known as a saluting Marine for a salute that I hold at Rolling Thunder every year. I'm not sure if you ever
I know
got
who
wind
you
of
are.
that
This is 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm slow.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
super
okay.
duper slow.
I'm with you. How you doing, buddy?
I mentioned you in vain today, by the way, on another show that I was on.
We all mention him in vain.
Well, as far as, I was, going to go here. It's unfortunately been canceled, blah, blah, blah. But I was just calling to, talk about the blue. Obviously, I'm looking at maybe doing a Saluting Marine children's book where the Saluting Marine's taken into the inner city, and the kid tells him what goes on in his neighborhood, and the good things, the bad things, and they come to a plan where they create a video game where they do role reversal, and the kids play the cops online, and then the high scores go to a conference and they rewrite the way we talk to each other, so the kids can take it back to the schools and educate the kids on how we're going to communicate with each other and be safe, and how we're going to make the cops safe. Now, granted, this probably won't make the cops any safer than they already are not in the big scheme of things, but I don't see any action. I see Band-Aids, tens of millions of dollars called Band-Aids when someone has a concern, and then everyone gets quiet and nothing gets done. So I don't know if you guys are taking phone calls, or if this is another time to call, or whatever the case may be, but I was just calling in, my friend.
No, you're good. You want to expand upon that a little bit? Your thought?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think right now the reason nothing's getting done is because it's becoming too political. One side's playing the other, and nothing actually gets accomplished. Everybody makes a lot of noise. They make a big grandstand, and then ultimately nothing happens. it goes back to the citizens and the police, and they have to continue to interact with each other while the politicians talk about all these grand things they're going to do that they actually never do.
Well, exactly. But the people that raise the concern, they're not the ones that have to worry about any political feedback. They're the ones on the line saying that this is wrong, but then they don't have any answers, and they get a lot of money, and then they get quiet because maybe they weren't trying to get something done. We could have a meeting, 20 people can come, 500 good ideas, and not one body is going to have any initiative to move forward on any of their ideas, and then you're back to square one.
Well,
so I think it's about action, and I think that this police commission the president has, I think it's a bunch of old fogies. We need to break out of the police because they're so in the mind of what they were told to do and the million of codes and the million of violations and the million times they've been screwed over because they thought they were going to give someone the courtesy of the doubt, and then it comes back around and bites them in the ass. Like I let the guy through the gate. I didn't think he was drunk, but he was drunk. The guy down the street caught him. Then it was my ass because I didn't catch him, or maybe he killed someone. But we really need to get a lot less intrusive, and maybe then there won't be the threat as much when they come up to a car and say, we don't need to search your car, we don't care who has warrants. Do you have a license? You're running it. Here's a ticket. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Well,
if we could become a little less intrusive.
Here's part of the problem, too. For one, we have a lot of police administrators that have been longtime chiefs, maybe retired, and they've got themselves on a commission, that are speaking for the officers that are working the street. They're out of touch. That's one problem.
Perfect. Yep. I see that.
So we need frontline people that are part of the conversation. The second problem we have is we have a lot of people that see things on TV and the movies, and they think that's the way things are supposed to operate. And when they see it not happening in real life, or they go, oh, you know what, I've seen this movie before. And so they attribute a lot of stuff that's not actually happening, especially through social media, and the mainstream media jumps on it, and the police are getting a bad rap right there. I'm not saying the police are perfect. I'm not saying the police are all right, but they're getting a bad rap through social media a lot. So we need
absolutely.
We need frontline officers that are actually working the street, that are actually dealing with the problems, because the administration can say one thing, and then the frontline guys are going, yeah, well, that sounds nice, but that's not exactly what's going on.
Mongo, you reminded me, there was a picture on Facebook, and I believe you and I both commented on it, where it was a picture of an officer that had stopped.
I reposted that picture. I know which one you're talking about.
He stopped a man, and as the picture showed, all it could show is that the officer had approached the car, was standing at the window in pretty good position, and he had his hand on his firearm. It wasn't drawn. He just had his hand on it.
Right, but the person that posted it originally said he had his firearm out and at its side, and he was scared.
Correct. And, that's part of the problem is that, and you mentioned people draw their perceptions from what they see on television and things like that. And both you and I know from personal experience over thousands of occasions, I think almost, if I didn't do it every single time, it was almost every single time I walked up to a car, I had my hand on my weapon. I was never scared. I wasn't scared to walk up there. It's just, sometimes you might be a little more on the handle than not because your spidey senses alerted. It's late at night, you're in an industrial area or something has keyed you into it. But you're not walking up to that car thinking, I'm going to smoke some dude right now in the next 15 seconds. You're thinking, I got to pick up a gallon of milk on my way home. The kids got ball practice. I wonder what I'm having for dinner tonight. You're thinking about all of those things as you're also assessing, you're simultaneously doing all of those things. And I think the misconceptions that are out there it's just running amok in this very hot political climate that we have right now, and people on all sides need to step back, take a breath, and be a little more observant, be a little more tolerant, be a little more willing to engage in conversation about what the hell's going on. What's up, guys? We got one of our favorite people, Big Love from Invictus in the house, and Twister as well. How you doing, Twister?
Pretty good.
Good to see you guys. Really glad that you guys could come out and join us today. So
Absolutely.
Saw you on the air. Y'all look good.
Absolutely. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I think you're losing weight and getting in shape. This retirement's treating you well.
Just the opposite, my friend. Just the opposite. I'm eating like a hog. But it's good to have you guys. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting today. It means a lot.
Let's finish up with our caller.
Oh, Tim, you still there? Sorry, my bad. I'm new at
yeah,
this hosting
yeah,
thing.
completely. I didn't even know I was on the air, you guys. Holy mackerel! But I just think we need to reach our future, our children, and get them on the track of making feel like they're part of the change and the difference, and can take it back to their communities. Even better than a community officer, but actually, if kids come back from the video game, from the role reversal, and develop empathy for each other, and say, "This is how we're going to be safe. This is how we're going to keep them safe." Then the ball is moving. The ball is moving down the yard line. But
hey,
anyhow,
brother, it sounds
all
like,
right, you
it
guys
sounds
rock.
like it sounds like a good idea what you got going on. Hopefully, when we reschedule our event, you're going to be available, and we're going to get you back out here, and we're going to get to meet you in person and have you represent our program.
Outstanding. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
So that was Tim Chambers, the saluting Marine. And just real quick before we get to Invictus, we really are looking forward to having him at that event whenever we finally get to hold it. For those of you that haven't been following this, we had arranged to have Tim come out. He's done Rolling Thunder and whatever its latest. I forget what they changed it to, but he basically stands for a period of 24 hours and renders honors to thousands and thousands and thousands of motorcycles as they pass by. And we were going to have him at Veterans Victory Celebration to render honors to all the veterans coming in, and then all the riders that were coming in too. He's going to be in his dress blue standing at the gate. So we are looking forward to that. I think that's a great element to that. Have you all ever been to Rolling Thunder in Washington?
We have not.
Y'all ever been up there?
No, we have not.
But you know who Tim Chambers is?
Yeah. This might actually benefit him, because if we get this thing pushed back into fall sometime, it's not going to be 100+ degrees with him out there in his dress blues.
Absolutely.
He's going to feel a lot better.
He's going to probably like it a lot better, isn't he? So, all right. So we're glad to have you guys in the house, and thank you again for coming out and backing the blue. It means a lot. We've known Big Love since the very beginning of the 99% Radio Network. It's our birthday today, by the way.
Congratulations. You guys have moved up since the first time we were here.
Invictus has been a big supporter of the 99% Radio Network, and we also have got to know him on a club-to-club level, and we think the world of you guys. You guys are always making a big difference out in the Fort Worth area and all over, actually.
That's
Invictus,
right.
Invictus is all over, so
We're growing.
You guys are going and growing. So just real quick, I'll start with you. Well, actually, since you're the boss, I'll start with Twister.
There you go.
Twister, just kind of, if you don't mind, tell our audience what your thoughts are. Yesterday was 7-7. You know, we lost 5 at one time in Dallas just a couple years back, 2016. Give us your thoughts.
Well, I just think I want to thank all the police officers for everything they do. And and just, I mean, it's terrible what's going on right now. I mean, for the few bad officers, just like, you know, there's a few bad people in every race, every, you know, any kind of job that you have. And for blaming, you know, a whole department for, you know, it's not really the department, the whole country's police force for what happened with a few people. I understand we need better training. We need better, you know, everything as far as that goes. But, you know, you can't, you know, if we defund the police, who's going to protect our families? I mean, it's just, you know, we're in this together. Well,
we've talked about this before on the show. I just think that whole defund idea is nonsense. As former cops, you want to pour more money. You want to pour more money into training. You need more and more. Cutting back training and sending a social worker out to handle a domestic disturbance or something it's idiocy. It's going to get people hurt, people killed, and I think it's one of the most stupid ideas, frankly, I've ever heard.
Well, you can see what's happened already in New York. They took the crime suppression team and took them out of the loop. The plainclothes officers that were stopping crime on the street, shootings have gone up. Look what happened in the Chaz when there was no law enforcement. People were getting killed, raped, robbed, beaten. Unfortunately, and I frustrated myself this morning. I was reading articles from a sociology professor, and he basically said that police aren't necessary because people are generally good, and most people, for the most part, can work their problems out. And I'm like, you don't know most people, because good neighbors, sure, they can work their problems out because they're reasonable, but everybody is not reasonable, and there's going to come a point in time when one person says, you know what, I don't like your attitude, and he's either going to take a ball bat and bust him in the head, or he's going to get a gun and shoot him, because that's what they're coming. That's what they're leading to. We've seen. Look what's going on in Chicago with the police. Can you imagine? Let's take the police off the streets. It's going to get better. I don't see the logic there.
I mean, look at the unprovoked attack of law-abiding citizens. I mean, there was
absolutely
there was a 12-year-old kid that
right.
An adult male blindsided. I mean, so people are good? No, there's bad people in the world, and we need peacekeepers.
Well, as Sideshow has said before, we have school teachers that have sexual relations with their students, but we're not defunding all school teachers. We're not trying to take school teachers out of the loop. We need school teachers. Take the bad ones out. A while back, we haven't had one recently, but probably in the last 4 or 5 years, when a Muslim extremist did a mass murder. The word through the media, don't blame all Muslims for the actions of one. Well, absolutely, I agree with that. You get one crazy, take the one crazy out. We can't blame everybody. You get a bad cop, take the bad cop out. All cops aren't bad. For the most part, and I've gone through this before with the selection and hiring process for police officers, most of them are going to be decent. And that's not to say they're all good at what they do. Some of them probably shouldn't have the job. Get rid of those guys, but they absolutely need more training. Training is always going to be the key. Take away training, you're going to get a worse product.
Speaking of that, we mentioned perceptions and stuff, and we've talked about this on the show, how people from different backgrounds, different eras. Our friend BA's on watching the show today, and he's commenting on it, and we've talked about with him firsthand and on the air about his perceptions and how he sees things. And you remember last week we were talking about concealed carry and what might happen if he was approached by a police officer. And he brought up a good point, and I think it's worth exploring as we follow this path that we're on now, about how first off, when you come out of the academy as a new cop, you're all trained, you're all hyped up because you've just gone through these 26 or 28 weeks of training, and then how as you gain time and experience, what your perceptions are when you see certain situations, a car parked somewhere late at night, or a person walking down a street in a high crime area, or you notice the way that they're dressed, or maybe some level of intoxication. You start factoring in all of those things, and you react. Your perceptions of that situation cause you to react accordingly. And I think it's worth a discussion. And then the same way on the flip side of the coin is how his perceptions, based on his life experiences and so on, cause him or might cause him to react. And I think if we follow that path and communicate these things back and forth to one another, we might be able to come up with some good solid points to help one another understand why there's all this rancor and animosity sometimes between us, law enforcement, and people in the street. I don't know. What do you think? You think it's worth following or barking up the wrong tree?
No, you're right. It's like I just told Tim. Sometimes we have the wrong people having these conversations. We get a lot of people at the very top that are having these conversations, and that doesn't apply to the people down at the bottom, because that's not reality. Yeah, that's utopia. This is the way it should work. This is the way it actually works. We need to get the people that are actually involved on both sides of the coin. I mean, the citizens and the police, to have those conversations. Having a guy that's been the police commissioner of New York for the past 20 years because he's got 50 years of experience, that guy has no idea what's going on the street. He has no idea.
So, BA, to answer your question that we're kind of going back and forth on right here, present someone to us. We'll welcome them to the studio, And if we're anything, we're always fair. Try to present all sides of the story, and I think we could have a great conversation. And we'll be respectful about it. So we'll move on from that over to my buddy Big Love. So you guys been taking care of any homeless people down in Fort Worth lately?
Well, we've been busy. This last weekend we rode out to Crowley lost an officer in a motorcycle accident, Officer Robert Foscos. So we gathered up a bunch of motorcycles. I think we had over 30 motorcycles. We rode out to the funeral home. Showed the family some respect, rolled in, and his wife, obviously it's an incredibly sad time, but she had a big smile on her face, and she said, you know what, he would be so proud right now to know that how the motorcycle community comes together. And I think, we're on the subject that we're talking about. There's two things that I think that are missing going on in this country right now. It's respect and love. Everybody is trying to be right versus do right. And at the end of the day, I think if we would pull back a little bit here and start focusing on doing what's right, dealing with the bad people, dealing with them, having consequences. When I was a child in school and graduated in the mid-'80s, I got paddled in school almost every single day of the week. They swung a wooden board, and it was 5 licks was the max. I can promise you, I got 5 almost every day in my days of school. I thought it was fun to be a class clown. The teachers had an objective to teach. Therefore, when I got out of line, I was asked to go to the hallway. The tennis coach, she had the wildest swing you've ever seen. She lit me up. I would go home with a purple derriere. It wasn't abuse. It was accountability. Therefore, I grew from that. If you don't want to be disciplined, don't do something wrong. Show people respect. And I'm very passionate on that. That's what I love about our motorcycle community. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, what your beliefs are, your heritage, where you come from, if you've got money, if you're broke. A motorcycle waves at another motorcycle going down the road, even if they're 1%ers. At the end of the day, we have a division in our motorcycle clubs. But you know what? It's about respect. You show them respect, they show you respect. They disrespect you, you deal with it. And I think that's where this country has gotten to. It's lack of respect. I'm scared to death right now. My son, G-Man, that's in our MC, wants to be a law enforcement officer. He's studying school and college right now so that he can go to the police academy. And I asked him the other day, he said, I said, gee, they don't make any money. Most of the people don't want to show you respect and love. Why do you want to go be a police officer? His answer was, we're here to serve. Christ served us, and I think I'm here to serve people and help. I think I can help heal some of this. Scares me to death as a father, but I'm also very proud.
Well, how could you not be? This is something we talk about, and it kind of ties in with everything that we do with PTIs and whatnot. Once you get into law enforcement because you want to make a difference, you want to help your community. There are, as we've said many times, there are a few bad apples in there that get in there for other reasons, and they should be out. But most people get in because you really do want to make a difference in your community. And then when you get out and you retire or you get hurt or whatever, you still want to get out into the community and make a difference. And that's why, LA clubs exist.
Yep.
Because you have that servant's heart. You want to help make a difference in your community. And that's one of the noblest things. I think that's great. Although in this day and age, it's I know if my son was getting into it now, I'd probably be counseling him. Maybe you should think long and hard. I respect your decision. I admire you for it, but maybe you should go to work for the fire department or something.
Dude, I was there.
Yeah, I know.
When Dakota got out of the Marine Corps, I told him, you do not want to be a police officer, which he did. He applied with the LA Sheriffs. He just happened to apply with LA Fire at the same time, and Fire picked him up first. And I'm actually happy he's back in the Marine Corps now as an officer. Much safer endeavor.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's a scary time, and you're right. Not going to make any money whatsoever, but I'm sure whatever he does, he'll have your backing as his father.
Absolutely.
And have the backing of the club. So, we were talking about this before the show, texting back and forth about clubs that wear an LE cube, right? Mm-hmm. About how it's important for us to stand up if you're going to wear it and be afforded and let's be honest, there are some safety in that when you're out in the world. Let's be honest about that. If you're going to wear that and take advantage of it, then I think it's imperative that you state very emphatically, unequivocally, that you back the blue, and then be prepared to do it.
Absolutely. I can tell you with the Invictus, the brotherhood that we have, we're up to, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 8 chapters now. We just brought a new chapter. Real quick, I want to do a quick shout out to our national president, Reaper. I'd like to do a shout out to Defensors. He's our president over in Louisiana. We call him is Gator. Praetorian is our South Fort Worth chapter, Springer. Hijack is and Imperium is our Dallas chapter. Intrepidus in Minnesota, we're all the way up Minnesota. Knight is the president. Caliburnus, Hacker is in the Frisco area. Officium is in the Texarkana area. That Shotgun is the president. And Perlium is Shield is our president, and he's now in Marshall chapter. So Invictus is growing, and you can have confidence when you see one of our guys at the Invictus that out. We'll stand with the blue, in front of the blue, behind wherever they want us. If they want to stand behind them, but there's not a brother here that wouldn't stand in front of them and tolerate what's going on. This disrespect and having officers stand there and have to take the verbal abuse from these punks. Excuse me if that's not proper on the air, but we do. I serve this country. Freedom of speech is very important to me. The Second Amendment is very important to me, 12. But to think that these guys can yell and scream and their breath, their spit is on these officers, and to know that in 1 second, if somebody tried to hurt that individual, that officer would stop what he's doing and defend the person that just spit on him. It literally makes me sick. And if this country doesn't get going in the right direction, this is going to not end well.
Well, there's been examples. Rowlett's a good case point. You can, and every police officer I know, we get to come on the air every week and say whatever we want. We can talk about whatever we want. Nobody tells us different, as long as we don't drop F-bombs.
Right.
We can say whatever we want to. I think every police officer that I've ever known supports a person's right to peacefully protest and speak their mind. And I think the cops in Rowlett had it right when they had a protest over there. It was peaceful. There were no issues.
Right.
And the police, without it wasn't a show of support for all of the things that the protesters were advocating for, but it was more to participate in that constitutional right, that expression of the constitutional right to speak what they want, and to speak out against the police brutality and police misconduct.
Right.
And I think it was a very strong statement that way, without advocating 100% for all of the points that the protesters were trying to make, like defund the police, because everybody that I know of that's a professional law enforcement officer just thinks that's a stupid idea, and everywhere it's been tried, it's proven a failure. So we support that definitely, and I know that you guys do, and again, we very much appreciate y'all coming out. Looking forward to seeing your video. It's going to be great. The 99% Radio Network is creating a public service announcement backing the blue, and we've enlisted the support of as many of the 99% law-abiding clubs, whether they're LE or RS, PS, veteran, or just independent riders that back the blue, to participate in that, and we'll be debuting that down the road here in a few weeks. But
I just got 2 other things real quick. 12.
Well, man, you know you can have as much time
absolutely.
as you want,
Little Rider. We've been praying for my little young man. That's he's a 14-year-old young man that's fighting cancer. Name's Caden Brown. We call him Rider. He's fighting hard. I've never met a stronger kid or anybody that is battling as hard as he's battling, and his cancer has come back. And you know what? He's not all boxing matches end in one round. Sometimes you have to go to round 2, 3, 4 before you can knock something out. And he's a fighter, and we're going to keep praying for Ryder. Also, Preacher used to be in another club with us that was with the Pipe Hitters. He's recently, his cancer has come back. And so he's fighting it hard. I shout out Preacher, praying for him, wishing well, and let's kick cancer's ass.
You know, he's Big Love won't say it himself, so I'll say it for him. Before there was a 99% Radio Network, I started following Big Love and Invictus on Facebook. And this guy right here would go, I was introduced through Facebook to Ryder, and he struggled with cancer for several years now.
Yes, sir.
And Big Love would go, and if you can, I don't know if you can see him, I'm guessing y'all can see him on camera. He looks like a big burly biker, but the guy has a heart of gold. He would go to the hospital and sit with that young man and comfort him as best that he could. You made him an honorary of your club, correct?
Well, we did, and then his uncle moved to another club, so they put him into that club, and there's been some transition. But bottom line is he's learned that it's not about this patch. It's about brotherhood.
Yep. I was just going to say that, and
So-
I'm glad you did. But so these guys, they definitely got a heart of gold, and we appreciate the fact
Absolutely.
that not only that you support the club, but that we're in the brotherhood with
Absolutely.
you. And appreciate
God
your
bless,
support.
brother.
Thank
Love
you
you.
guys.
Love you
We're
too,
so
brother.
glad
Big
you guys
love.
could join us. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
God bless. Thanks.
So we're coming up on the 4:30 hour, and that means it's time to pay a bill. So appreciate everybody being with us. You're listening to the 99% Radio Network. We're going to be going back down to Sideshow in the parking lot here pretty quick. And but before that, we'll break for a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Howard Scott from the Howard Scott Show, coming to you from beautiful Arlington, Texas on Fishbowl Radio. You can catch me every Wednesday from 6 to 7, and we play all this.
Come on
music,
in
you get to
and
hear
take a
some
trip
songs
down
that I
memory lane. Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512. Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512. Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located
Radio Network around the world, 48 countries. We appreciate your support. Because of you, this show has just experienced what seems to us to be tremendous growth. We're knocking on the door of 50,000 reached every week now, maybe more some weeks. Last week was a tremendous show, and we just want to say thank you very, very much. You've helped us raise a lot of money. We've taken care of a lot of people with some work projects. Every time we put a call out there, y'all step up and you make a difference in your community, and that's what this is all about. So on behalf of Mongo and Sideshow, thank you. We are very, very
go again.
Yes, we go. All right. Is that Sideshow?
Hey, Sideshow with Shiner. How you doing, brother?
Hey, brother, how's it going, Shiner?
Oh, doing good, man. I wanted to add something to the show that I didn't get to mention earlier, if that's all right.
Heck yeah, go ahead. And by the way, before you start, just let me say thank you to Southern Dogs 286 and to Bikers Against Bullying, and to you personally, you and BAB and Southern Dogs. Boone comes to mind. Several others. You all have been great supporters of the 99% Radio Network, and I just want to say thank you for your support over the last year.
Hey, thank you for a great show, man, to listen to. Listen to it every day.
Thank you, brother. You're up. Go ahead.
Not a problem. So I'm sorry I had to leave early. I had to come home and get ready for a birthday parade. Somebody I can't say because they might be listening. But one of the things that people are concerned with this whole defunding thing, have you ever thought, these dumbass liberals, that rather than defunding, why not double the funds? If they want to complain about, they don't have the right training or anything like this, why don't we double these funds? Why don't we make it to where every officer is a negotiator? Bump up their pay. Give them the training they need if they want to complain about the officers we have right now. To me, that seems a more logical thing than taking this money away from them and creating all sorts of chaos, because you're going to reap what you sow. Take away cops, here comes the chaos.
I think we're
What do you
seeing
think of that?
I think we're seeing clear evidence of that, and Mongo and I were just touching on that earlier. I can remember here not too long ago, maybe within the last week, seeing a protester scream at an officer on a picket line about his lack of training and how her hairdresser had to spend more time in school than what that police officer, which isn't true probably. I think 6 months. I don't think a hairdresser has to stay in school 6 months, but maybe. I don't know nothing about hairdressing. But your point is well taken, and we certainly agree with it. We need to be pumping more money into training instead of taking money away. That's my opinion.
I agree. Personally, I think our officers do a great job as it is. But if that's their complaint, then let's fix the complaint properly, not take away all this money. Not take away $1 billion from New York, by the biggest freaking city in the world, because you're just asking for chaos to happen when you do that.
I see a very small point in what a lot of people are saying, because a lot of our police officers today spend a good majority of their time chasing calls for check the well-being on mental health issues. That's not necessarily what a police officer should be doing. We can actually assign that out to a different group of people. There may become a point in time during one of those calls when the police are going to have to come in to assist, but police officers really shouldn't be chasing down all these check the well-being mental health issues that should be addressed somewhere else. So I can see not taking money from the police, but taking money from somewhere and putting it towards those programs. But what they're doing right now, you're absolutely right. They're going to reap what they sow. They're not going to like what happens, and it's coming down the road.
So, you just prompted a memory. For those of you old enough to remember the Johnny Carson show, he used to read the police blotter, and a regular entry on his police blotter was the Santa Paula Police Department. And we used to get, Mongo and I have both experienced, we used to get drive-by Gladys' house. Remember? She lived right up around the corner from the police station, and she was an elderly woman who saw Martians, and she had some mental health issues, but she was satisfied 9 out of 10 times. It was always shine the light. There was the only call that we had that particular code, and that was at Gladys' house, and everyone knew her. And when that call would come out, you would drive down the alleyway, you would shine the light, and you would see her looking out the window. Clearly, she had some mental health issues. But honestly, with that woman and that circumstance, it wouldn't have helped to send a social worker there or someone like that. She wanted the comfort of seeing that black and white cruise through the alleyway with the lights on. And in her mind, you were out there checking, for aliens and Martians and whatever else she was seeing. And I used to gripe like you did about, having to handle the social calls. But truth is, you might go to 99 of those and it just be, oh my God, a social worker could have handled this. But that 100th,
And that's the one I'm talking about.
Yep.
Eventually, the police are going to be required on those calls, but not necessarily all of them. So, yeah, okay, I can see some of what's being said, but again, taking away the street crime suppression team out of New York City and putting all those guys back in uniform, crime has gone up. Well, what a shock! Who would have figured that out?
well, that and letting all the prisoners out of Rikers Island at the same time wasn't too smart.
Didn't help.
No.
No.
What I can't
They could
think-
easily appoint somebody, maybe 10% of a force, of the funds for the force go to somebody that does well-being calls, stuff like that. That way the regular officers can handle the stuff that really needs to be handled.
They're called rookies.
Well,
That's very true.
Yeah. It's scary because I read stories in the morning from supposedly learned people about what's going on, and like I mentioned earlier, I read something from a sociologist professor that said the police are not necessary. I mean, totally not necessary, because people will get along without them. Well, they'll get along the way they got along in the Chaz. They'll get along the way they get along in Mogadishu. The strong will survive. If you like somebody's motorcycle, I like that motorcycle. I'm going to take it. What are you going to do to stop me? I'm bigger than you. I've got more friends than you. I've got more guns than you. You need the police. Listen, look what goes on with the police present in just the city of Chicago, and the police are actually present. Take the police away, they're not going to shoot each other less. They're going to shoot each other more. Think about the good people. I'm talking about across the board, all the good people out there that drive on the freeways. They drive 5 miles over the speed limit. Why? Because the cops won't stop you at 5 miles over the speed limit, so I know I can get away with it. Well, if the cops aren't there, I can get away with 20 miles over the speed limit. These are good people. I drive this way, people. I mean, I'll go 5 miles over the speed limit and not think about it, because who's going to stop me at 5 miles over? 10 miles over? Maybe. And I'm a good person, I think, for the most part. Most of the time. I don't get caught. So, all right, so I'm usually good. But that's what's going to happen with society. If we take away all of the police, and they say, well, we only need the police for the major felonies. Okay, well, how do we define a major felony? So do we make all misdemeanor crimes not a crime anymore? Because, I mean, who's going to put them into the system? Who's going to get them into court, into jail? It's not going to be a private citizen. You need the police for that, unfortunately. I don't think they're thinking down the road. They're making noise right now because it's the popular and political thing to do, and it plays good on the TV. That's just my opinion, though.
That's very true. I just want to chime in and appreciate you guys, and thank you for what you guys are doing today, man.
Shiner, thanks
You
for
guys
coming
are
out
great.
today, brother.
Appreciate your support,
No
brother.
problem.
Across the board. Thank you.
No problem. Love you guys.
Love you too, buddy. So, one of the things that I kind of see in all these discussions going on, Mongo, tell me what you think about this. It seems like there's an attitude among some of our politicians that cops are throwaways, that we're expendable, that, oh, you're just a number. And it seems like it's gotten, like very important. They don't think about that person has a family. They have kids, a mother, a father, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and so on. And it's just, oh, you're easily replaced. And I don't think they have any real idea, one, what it goes into the making of a police officer, that whole lengthy process. And they're not, all these officers that are retiring, are bugging out because of the political climate now, they are not easily replaced.
Well, and here's the problem. You're losing those police officers that have a career behind them. So anywhere from 20 to 35 years of law enforcement experience that are out the door. You can't replace that by hiring a guy off the street and putting him through the academy. And I'll give you a prime example. When I came out of the academy, I was, young, dumb, and what they say, but I was all gung-ho and ready to go. But I'd go to these domestic violence calls, and this was before the domestic violence laws changed. When you just go to the husband and wife dispute, I'd go in there, I'd listen to both sides, and then the bottom line is, the husband, pack your shit, You're going to go stay at a hotel tonight. You're going to go stay at a friend's house tonight. You're going to go somewhere else. That was always my solution. It always solved the problem. Get the husband out of the house, make him go stay somewhere else, and the next day they come back and they get along. It's all kissy-kissy. As I matured, as I got my own family, as I had my own kids, I'd go into those same calls. This is still before the domestic violence laws changed. I'd go to those disputes. I'd listen to both sides, and then I'd go, you know what? I think the wife is being a bitch. You need to pack your shit and go stay somewhere else tonight.
You're not going to make any friends with that comment.
No. I know that, but listen, I'm just saying that it wasn't across the board. The husband is going to pack his bags and he's going to leave because he's wrong. Because that was my perception when I first came out of the academy. When I was a young officer, I didn't have a family. It's going to be the man's fault. Make him go. But as I got that family, I was like, no, you know what? Actually, I kind of side with this guy right now because I think you're being unreasonable. You leave. Sometimes a man would leave, sometimes a woman would leave, because I would listen to both sides and I would see it differently. My perception of how that call was going was different based on my life. You get these guys that have 30 years of experience leaving, and you get this guy that comes in with just 6 months on, he's going to see things a lot differently because, one, he's not going to know, and two, he has a different perception. You're losing a lot of experience at the top that you actually need. You need those guys to bring these young bucks up and teach them how to do the job properly.
I agree. And I think it's going to be, we see from here, I think we have a pretty good, at least a general idea of the big picture. And from cops getting hurt, getting killed, taking their own lives, incidents of not necessarily misconduct, but bad decision making because of lack of training. I think we're going to see down the road, we're going to reap what we're sowing right now, and it's not going to be pretty if we don't make a change in the entire culture right now. I think law enforcement is in for a rough go.
It's going to come down to supervision and training, supervision, accountability, and training. And that's not to say that the cops are doing things always right, but there has to be accountability through your supervisors. You have to have good supervision, and you're going to have better training. That's going to be the answer, not defunding. That will not be the answer.
And even though everything virtually everywhere is recorded now by someone or by your personal cameras, people have to understand this one thing. As a police officer, you are often forced to make a life or death decision in the blink of an eye, and you have to take into account so many different factors, environmental factors around you, plus the threat that's facing you, and you have to make that call in the blink of an eye. And then people have from defense attorneys to up and down your chain of command, they have hours and days and months and weeks and so on to sit there and pick apart every little thing that you did. You take the situation in Atlanta, and we've talked about that in depth. For 40 minutes on videotape, those officers were as straightforward and as polite as they could be. There was absolutely, and everyone on both sides of that discussion would agree, up to the point that they went to put the handcuffs on them, nobody had any fault with anything. And the guy was perfectly, the victim in that case he wasn't doing anything either up to that point. But the minute they went to put the handcuffs on, that situation deteriorated. And then in the blink of an eye, literally it was just, if it was more than a couple of seconds, it wasn't much more. They had to make that life or death decision, and they got put into that. They didn't ask to be put there. They were put in that situation because they were trying to arrest a drunk driver for a repeat offense. And, I think people need to start taking that into account as well, that you put people, this is why you want more training, right? You don't want less training because you're put so much responsibility on them to make these life or death decisions. And you've been there. You've had to make life or death decisions in a split second. And if you didn't, somebody was going to die. Correct?
Correct.
And you want more. You don't want less. And you want people then who are going to be judging you to take their time and take all of those factors into account before they render a decision on whether you're your shoot was good or not, or whether you used excessive force or not. They don't know if you were fighting for your life or you thought you were fighting for your life. They're not there. You're making these calls in a split second, and people need to take that into account, in my opinion. So,
well, and unfortunately, it doesn't look well on camera. It's not pretty, but a fight is a fight, and if you're involved in a fight, unfortunately, a police officer always brings a gun to the fight. So every fight you're in is a gunfight. So sometimes you have to end these fights in a way that's not very pretty on camera. Why'd you punch that guy in the mouth? Because I was starting to lose it, and the control hold that I learned in the academy, he didn't present me enough elbow, and I didn't get enough of his arm into the lock, so I had to do something different. My option was to knock him out. But bottom line is, he woke up with a headache, in jail, everybody's okay, we move on. I didn't shoot him. He didn't shoot me. So it doesn't look nice on TV sometimes, but sometimes when you're in that fight, you better be in that fight to win. You're not going to be in that fight to look good on camera and to be able to justify, well, the arm lock didn't work, but I tried the wrist lock, which is exactly what happened in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that scuffle on the ground, elbows and wrists trying to be grabbed, punch that dude in the face and let's stop this nonsense right now. It's a fight. It's a gunfight. The gun may not be being shot, but it's a gunfight.
Very good point. If you'd like to comment, you're listening to the 99% Radio Network. You can call into the studio at 214-556-6239. 214-556-6239. We'd really like to hear from you and what your thoughts on this as we back the blue today on Wednesday, July the 8th. Phone doesn't ring in the next minute or two. I say...
Sideshow's back up here. I
Did
just
you see him walk by?
He's back in the break room.
He's probably cooling down because he was really hot and taking a smoke break or something, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing they're done down there.
It looks like it.
Good deal. So again, 214-556-6239. Give us a call. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about the blue. If you back the blue or you back defunding the blue. And we'd like to hear what your thoughts are about that. So what's next, brother?
Well, we can do another commercial break and pay some more bills. Or we can move on to the Mongolog. I don't know if we got the intro, but...
So why don't we do this? Why don't we pay some more bills real quick and then come back with the Mongolog after we're done? Maybe you'll piss off enough people that they'll call in and complain about you.
Wonderful.
All right, just stand by with us. We're going to go to commercial, and we'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
Fifth Avenue Nutrition of Garland is a twist on your normal coffee or donut shop. Serving coffee, teas, shaved ice, and delicious ice cream shakes, pastries, and muffins, Fifth Avenue offers a wide variety of delicious drinking concoctions, ranging from
Come on
specialty
in
coffee,
and take a
nitro
trip.
brews, meal replacement ice cream shakes, to energy-boosting fruit-flavored teas. At Fifth Avenue, we proudly
Come on
serve
in
tea,
and take a
black,
trip
white,
down memory
pumpkin,
lane in
brand
Garland,
new.
Texas at
Fifth
TLC
Avenue,
on the
we
lake,
back on blue
located
by
at
offering
4881
free
Bass Pro
service.
Drive.
Visit us at 414
Step in
West
and enjoy our
Avenue,
made from
Garland,
scratch
Texas.
meals.
Open from
It'll make
6
you
a.m.
feel like you're
to 7
back
p.m.
in
Monday
Grandma's
through Saturday.
kitchen.
Hop in and see us. We have a bright idea to make you healthy, delicious, and fun.
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of
Purchase or sell your
your
home? Visit Warriors Agency Group in McKinney. With so many different loan programs out there,
Come
you
on
can
in
choose the one
and
that's
take a
right
trip
for you.
down memory
That's
lane
why
in
at
Garland,
Warriors Agency
Texas
Group,
at
our realtors are highly
TLC
trained
on the
to
lake,
find a loan
located
that
at
fits your budget.
4881
We stand
Bass
behind
Pro
the
Drive.
values and the integrity.
Step in and enjoy our made from scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the lake or give us a call at 970
There we are. We're back.
Because there's a delay on your
on my
your
deal.
telephone. Brother.
Okay. All right.
So this is on. It starts with Independence Day in America, or the 4th of July. It's a federal holiday in the United States, commemorating the Declaration of Independence of the United States on July 4th, 1776, although the actual document was signed on July 2nd, 1776. The Continental Congress declared that the 13 American colonies were no longer subject and subordinate to the monarch of Britain, King George III, and were now united, free, and independent states. Independence Day is commonly associated with fireworks, parades, barbecues, carnivals, fairs, picnics, concerts, baseball games, family reunions, political speeches, and ceremonies, in addition to various other public and private events celebrating the history, government, and traditions of the United States. This Independence Day, however, is being celebrated differently because of the coronavirus pandemic. Firework displays, if they even take place, must be viewed from your car as if it were a drive-in movie. Parades have been canceled. Carnivals and fairs did not receive permission to operate and therefore are non-existent, as is the Texas State Fair this year.
Sucks.
Yeah, I know. Concert tours have been canceled through the rest of the year. The Major League Baseball season that should have started this past April is now just back into the training camp phase for a very abbreviated season. The All-Star Game, which takes place at this time of year, commemorates the halfway point through the baseball season, but has been canceled. The teams will play a 60-game schedule for the remainder of the year. This is an election year our country is in, currently today very polarized. The mainstream media and the liberal left seem to have the upper hand with their control of social media as well as the mainstream media in getting their messages out. America is heralded as the land of the free, but for many people who live here, what exactly makes us so free when compared to other countries isn't always so obvious. While many Americans gripe about the limitations put on us by our government, there are actually a wealth of freedoms we enjoy on a daily basis without even realizing it. From what you wear to how you parent your kids, it's time to stop taking these American freedoms for granted. In America, you have the right to name your baby whatever you want, except for the occasional and judgmental eye roll from your friends and neighbors. You can give your child whatever name you see fit. In countries like Germany, Japan, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland, you don't have that same luck. In America, you have the right to a fair trial. If you're arrested for a crime in America, that doesn't mean you should necessarily start preparing your life in prison. In the U.S., we're guaranteed the right. Hang on a second, folks. I don't have my usual paper handing to me. I got to do it by hand. We're guaranteed the right to a fair trial, or at least to a trial, of 12 relatively impartial jurors and a judge. In countries like South Africa, you just get the judge, but no jury to decide your fate. In America, you have the freedom to marry whomever you want. If you or your partner are two consenting adults of sound mind, you're welcome to get married in the United States. It doesn't matter if you're straight, LGBTQ, one of you is 50 years older, one of you is broke, and the other is rich. As long as you're entering into the marriage willingly and are at least 18 years old or younger with your parents' consent, you're free to take the matrimonial plunge. In countries like Italy, Japan, Switzerland, and Greece, you can enter into a civil union, but still can't get married if you're the same-sex couple. There are some countries where homosexuals are tied to a chair and thrown off a rooftop if they were to learn you were gay, much less allow you to marry your partner. In America, you have the freedom to wear whatever you want. You want to wear a crop top on public transportation? Do you want to wear a mermaid tail wherever you go? If you're not violating any laws about public decency or wearing clothing intended to incite violence, you're free to choose the clothes that look good and feel good. In countries like North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Uganda, Sudan, and France, if you're wearing the wrong thing, it can be a punishable offense. In America, you have the right to be counted as an equal. No matter your gender or race, in the United States, you're deemed an equal in the eyes of the government. In America, you have the right to an education. While we often lament the public education system in America, it's pretty amazing that every American can enjoy a free education until the age of 18. And by free, I mean paid for with taxpayer dollars.
Nothing's ever free.
Yeah, like I said. In many countries, families need their children to work to support them, and in many others, there are countless barriers to accessing education, especially for women. In America, you have the freedom to drive. If you feel like hitting the open road and you're an American old enough to possess a license and without a major history of accidents under your belt, you're welcome to get behind the wheel and drive wherever you please. In other countries, if you are not male, you are not allowed to drive a vehicle. In America, you have the freedom to show off. Do you want to take a sexy selfie and post it online? If you are a U.S. citizen, you won't have to worry about the police knocking down your door for doing so. Unfortunately, in many other countries like Qatar and Sudan, indecency laws may prevent you from doing the same. In America, you have the right of religion. Regardless of your religion you belong to, you're free to practice as you see fit in the United States as long as you're not harming anyone else. In America, you have the freedom to end a relationship or marriage. It doesn't matter if you've just gotten married in Vegas after a few too many shots, or if you've been in a 50-year marriage. You're free to end your marriage when you see fit in the United States. In many other countries, like the Philippines and Malta, there are severe restrictions in place on who can get divorced and for what reason. In America, you have the ability to style your hair how you want. Do you think it looks better with undercut or a bouffant? Go for it. You're welcome to style your hair as you see fit in the U.S. Meanwhile, in Iran, you can get in some serious trouble for cuts like the mullet and the faux hawk. Don't laugh. In America, you have the freedom to access information. The internet has given us a wealth of information at our fingertips, and Americans get to enjoy more of it than virtually anyone else on earth. In addition to not having our internet access censored by the government, our usage is relatively unmonitored compared to other countries. Now, that is not to say that private entities don't censor and limit the information that you might seek or post. In China, on the other hand, you might not be able to access a website of companies that compete with Chinese businesses or even browse Wikipedia. In Russia, local media outlets that criticize the government can be shut down. In America, we have the protection and the freedom against unlawful searches. If the police show up at your door in the United States without probable cause or a search warrant, you're well within your rights to show them the way out. Americans are entitled to a legitimate expectation of privacy in private dwellings in certain public places. In America, you have the freedom not to enlist in the military. While you may know plenty of people who were drafted back in the day, conscription is no longer required in the United States citizens. You're still free to join the service if you want, but nobody can force you to enlist. In America, you have the freedom to travel. So the United States is a big place, but luckily for those who live in it, all you have to do is hit the road and see all of it. Thanks to Americans' ability to travel throughout the country and across state lines without visa or travel documentation, there are many countries where travel is restricted both within and outside the borders. In America, you have the right to vote. Want to see political change happen? You're welcome to do so in the United States. With few exceptions, every living adult in the United States is entitled to his or her vote. Although it is not allowed, I am aware that oftentimes Americans tend to cast their vote for What did I mean to say right there? Sometimes my dictation and my eyes don't match up.
Bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, well, that too.
We've heard that from Rocky.
Okay. Unless the Democratic Party in this country goes to a drastic change in the party platform, the first vote that I cast the Democratic candidate will be after I'm dead and gone. In America, you have the freedom to own property. Owning a home is part of the American dream. It's a freedom or privilege that you can't enjoy in the same way in other countries. In many countries around the world, including Nigeria, where the government technically owns all the country's land, private land ownership is a more complicated issue than simply hiring a real estate agent and saving for a down payment. In America, you have the freedom to start a business. America is known as a land of opportunity. It's easy to see why. Here in America, it's easy for the entrepreneurial mind to get a business off the ground here. The success of that business is not guaranteed. With hard work, luck, and the proper business model, success can be achieved. In America, you have the right to fight back. If you're being physically assaulted in the United States, you've got every right to defend yourself. However, that's not the case in many parts of the world. In countries like Armenia and Mali, for instance, committing domestic violence isn't even necessarily a criminal act. And in many others, victims of assaults are the ones that are arrested. In America, you have the freedom to go outside alone. Do you feel like heading outside for some fresh air or want to take a walk to the store? Not a problem if you're in the United States. In many places, like Saudi Arabia, women are discouraged, if not banned, from going certain places without male company. In many countries, it's tacitly understood that women are not to travel. In America, you have the freedom to go around, to get around if you're disabled. Countries around the world are making attempts to expand accessibility for individuals with disabilities, but America is leading the charge. Thanks to the Americans with Disability Act, Not only is it illegal to discriminate against individuals with disabilities, but it also means that everything from public transportation to new construction needs to be created with the needs of the disabled in mind. American exceptionalism is the idea that the United States of America is unique among the nations of the world and that it was founded on the principles of the individual liberty, private property rights, and justice for all. Because it is unique, the United States has a special role in the world and in human history. Proponents of American exceptionalism argue that the United States is exceptional in that it was founded on a set of Republican ideals rather than on a common heritage, ethnicity, or ruling elite. In the formation of President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, he wrote, "America is a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal." In Lincoln's interpretation, America is inextricably connected with freedom and equality, and in the world perspective, the American mission is to ensure that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. This is not just about Americans. In the United States, man has created a society that is best and happiest in the world. For those who don't believe this, you need not just travel to other countries, but spend time living in the economy of these other countries to see what their life is really like. I've had the unique opportunity to have done this, as well as conversations with other people that have done the same. The United States is the supreme demonstration of democracy. However, the Union does not exist just to make men free in America. It has an even greater mission, to make men free everywhere. By the mere force of this example, America will bring democracy to an undemocratic world. It has been said that the United States remains the only superpower capable and at times willing to commit real resources to make real sacrifices to build, sustain, and drive an international system committed to international law, democracy, and the promotion of human rights. Experience teaches that when the United States leads on human rights, from Nuremberg to Kosovo, other countries follow. American policies have been characterized since their inception by a system of feudalism between the states and the federal government. Checks and balances among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches were designed to prevent any faction, region, or government entity from becoming too powerful. Some proponents of the theory of American exceptionalism argue that the system and the accompanying distrust of centralized power prevent the United States from suffering a tyranny of the majority. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution makes every baby born in the United States a full citizen. Birthright citizenship stands as an example to the world the idea of American exceptionalism. Birthright citizenship does not make the United States, birthright citizenship does make the United States, along with Canada, unique in the developed world. No European nation recognizes this principle. In the second paragraph of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, he stated, "Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure." You think that the idea of a civil war was something we got out of our system once we overcame the greatest of evils, slavery, in the history of our nation. But thanks to the left, that evil has come raging back. Racism has provided the mainstream media a new anchor point. Many people have been led by the nose to believe that without violence, there can be no solution. Statues of President Theodore Roosevelt, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, as well as the name of pancake syrup, instant rice, ice cream bars, hit television shows, Academy Award-winning movies, iconic movies, the names of military bases, as well as naval vessels have nothing to do with racial injustice in 2020. What they do have to do with is in fundamentally transforming our country, grinding away our history, and praying at the altar of political correctness. Joe Biden is the Democratic candidate for president. He thinks he can bring this country together. He thinks that he can convince fully half the American people that dismantle the statues and have stood in some cases for over 100 years will somehow bridge the gap between what divides our country. He thinks that half this country who respect our police and military will accept those who are inclined to destroy those who protect us. If you do not buy into the narrative that all whites are by nature of their birth racist, and that they are gifted with some form of divine privilege, and that they didn't have to work hard for everything they have, you are excoriated and labeled as a racist. If you say all lives matter, that doesn't fit the narrative of mainstream media and the liberal left, and you will be labeled a racist. I will just change that right now.
Can't even blame that on your handwriting because it's typed.
Yeah, well, no, I dictate a lot because my typing sucks.
Oh, okay.
And my dictation says, I don't think you meant to say that. And it'll put something else. So that's why I go through and I read these things like 2 or 3 times. But since I know what it's supposed to say while I'm reading it, I read right through it.
Read right through it.
I hate it. That's why I try to have my wife read this stuff, but she hasn't done it for like 2 weeks because she's working full time now. Anyway, let me get back to this. There are no longer institutions used to learn the history of America, but rather to learn what America has done wrong and how it needs to be changed. Antifa is an anti-fascist political movement in the United States comprising a diverse array of autonomous groups that aim to achieve their objectives through the use of both nonviolent. 2 more pages. 1.5 more pages, folks. Hang on. Nonviolent and violent direct action rather than through policy reform. Antifa political activists engage in protest tactics such as digital activism and militancy. This may sometimes involve property damage, physical violence, and harassment against those whom they identify as belonging to the far right. Individuals involved in the movement tend to hold anti-authoritarian and anti-capitalistic views, subscribing to a range of left-wing ideologies such as anarchism, communism, Marxism, social democracy, and socialism. Are we headed for a civil war? There seems to be a consensus by some that if not by actual military confrontation, but in some virtual sense, we indeed are in the midst of a civil war. There is clearly a breakdown of civil order. We have never been this divided. I'm going to leave the discussion of a potential civil war for a future Mongologue, however. I'm grateful for the opportunities that this country has afforded me. Make no mistake, nothing was ever given to me. Everything I have, I had to earn. Some things came sometimes some things came usually and others, but nothing was free. Don't know what I meant there either.
You probably quote.
Nothing came easy, brother. There's a big difference in the America that I grew up in and the America that the younger generation is growing up in today. When I went to school, I learned history, I learned civics, I learned how to think for myself. That's not what today's generation of Americans is being presented in school. The younger generation expects more to be given to them. The teachers are more than willing to facilitate this as long as their indoctrination in how the teachers want things to be taught. I was raised to think for myself, think with reason and logic, and not take things so personally. Today, walking through the aisles of a grocery store or our younger generation is offended by the label on a bottle of syrup or a box of rice. When I was a child, I was able to watch cartoons and laugh at the silliness of them. When Elmer Fudd took his shotgun and blasted Daffy Duck on the head, spinning his bill around his head, I saw the humor. I also realized that this did not kill Daffy Duck, but merely stunned him very temporarily. It didn't cause me to want to go out and shoot everybody with my shotgun. Today, however, for whatever reason, our kids can't make that same distinction. So the solution is to take the shotgun out of the cartoon. Deep down, I actually understood why society wants to do this. What I don't understand is why they have to do this. We've been independent and free for 244 years. We've made some awful mistakes in this country. Hopefully we won't repeat any of those mistakes. We've also tapped the potential and provided awesome opportunities for anyone who has stepped up and shown an interest. Let's not forget that this country provides us the opportunity to do. If you don't like something, there's a process to change it. Follow the process. Don't be offended by everything you see or hear. It probably wasn't meant to offend you in the first place. Be bigger than the problem. America is not perfect, but there are places that are a lot worse off than we are. The bottom line is, if you hate America as much as you say you do, leave. Nobody's making you stay. Unless for some unfortunate reason you're incarcerated, then you have to stay for a little while. But as they say, if you don't like it, GTF out. And this, my friends, is that. My name is Mongo. I drink whiskey, I smoke cigars, and I know things. Mongo is out. And that was rough. Too many errors in my my writing.
You know what though, brother? I'm gonna say that Mongologue jumps up into my top 3 because and this is 2 back to back that were just killer as far as I'm concerned. What made that great, dictation aside, is the fact that you pointed out accurately what it's like to live in other countries where you don't have the freedoms that we have in this country. And I was laughing on the inside when you were talking about the hairdos. You know, one of my sons served over in Korea, and he's absorbed all things North Korea that he possibly can. And he told me once that Kim Jong-un has dictated there's like 11 official haircuts in North Korea. You have to have one of those kind of haircuts. And apparently that whatever kind of haircut he wears is one of those official, the high and tight with the bouffant top. Well, I don't know what you call it, but
can you imagine being told how to cut your hair?
You have to cut, and it's
that's the first I'm hearing. That's the
I
first I'm
imagined
hearing
it for
about
4
that.
years while I was in the Marine Corps.
Well, yeah. Well, but I mean, that's the first time I've ever hearing
it's true.
that's that's horrible. I mean,
the state mandates how you.
My
how
son
you have
would
to
never
wear
be
hair.
able to survive.
Yeah,
he changes his color of his
crazy.
hair every 3 days.
But I thought that was really good. Just drawing the comparisons between how it is in other countries and here, and people really should. I don't think they have an appreciation for the freedoms. They don't value the freedoms that we really have.
There are a lot of places that are a lot worse off than we are as far as what they can and can't do, and you're right. People don't recognize that.
And they if they were to choose to express themselves publicly by gathering somewhere in the street, I saw a video of some protesters. They were just standing in the street. Don't know if there was any violence. I didn't see any. But here come a big water cannon truck, and it hit them full on blast with the water cannon, and it looked like they looked like bowling pins going down.
Yeah.
And then after the water truck pushed them, back a considerable distance, then the shock troops came in, and there was nothing but birch swinging, and they were paying the price for it. There was the government, and I don't know, it was in another country. It wasn't here in the States. The government clearly didn't give a crap what they were protesting about. It wanted it done, and they shut it right down. People have those rights here, and I don't think we have an appreciation for it. So great job.
Yeah, good job. I just
Thank
walked
you.
in.
So we welcome Sideshow back into the studio. You were awful sweaty. Was it hot down there?
Man, first off, I got to thank everybody who showed up for our Back to Blue kind of celebration rally here in Globe Life Park. I mean, you braved it was 96, but the feel like temperature was 105. It was extremely, extremely hot out there. I got a big shout out to Megan Cruz who brought a pop-up tent, and to Steve and Sam Horowitz who brought a pop-up tent, because without those tents we would have probably been melted out there. It was great. Thanks to Invictus and Laszlo who rode up on their bikes. A couple other bikers came up. Shiner. I mean, that was a hot ride for them. They were in their leathers. It was a tough thing, but they came out and they supported, and all the other people who came out and supported it was just amazing. It was an amazing time outside. And while we were breaking down, we had Jen Leaney from Six Stone. She was a little late. She came in and just to show her support, but we were already starting to break down. But the big factor was the Peace Officers Angel Foundation, Maria Acevedo. Alvarado. I'm sorry. I always change the name.
You're not the first person who he changed the name.
Oh,
for.
trust me. You're just the latest victim.
She has been a very a pro activist for our police officers throughout Texas and actually throughout the nation. On when we talk about defunding the police and dismantling the police, and she really sees the inner workings of most police departments around the country on how our officers, if we take any more away from them, they are going to have nothing. And she knows all too well how much her foundation helps out those who are injured in the line of duty. So I want to welcome you, Maria. Thank you so much once again for being part of the show. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, John. It's a privilege for me to be here, and like you said earlier, we need to be the voice for a lot of these. And Peace Officers Angels Foundation, we assist all of our critically injured officers in Texas, and I feel like Texans do come together whenever and unite whenever there's a cause, because that's what we do, and we will always do that. What does it take? And I think it takes the best. Sometimes it takes the best from us, and that by saying that, I mean that a lot of our officers pay the ultimate sacrifice just for protecting and serving their communities. My son was killed in the line of duty. He was DFW airport officer. He was SWAT motor officer. And I worked with COPS, Concerns of Police Survivors, and helped families of fallen officers. But I noticed that there were also injured officers that needed our help. And so that's why I started this foundation, Peace Officers Angels Foundation. And we have officers all over the state. We've been helping it's city, state, and county. So we help the sheriff's office and even recently the Attorney General's office, one of his officers that was shot 9 times serving a warrant.
Jeez.
We know it's a dangerous job, but we also know that we need to help and do more. We can't sit on our hands, like I said earlier.
Right.
We can't sit on our hands and watch our brave men and women go out there to protect us. And yes, we can pray for their safety, but I feel like, we need to do more, and there is more that we can do. I want everyone to know that we stand with you shoulder to shoulder. We want to be there for you. And because we know when you put on that uniform and you go out there to protect and serve, we need to also put on our Texas Strong support and be there for you.
See, a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of people are under the misconception that, we have 700,000 or more sworn officers in different various job roles, but different cities from New York, Chicago, California. We have those big cities, but we also have the smaller communities and counties and states. So when someone thinks about an officer getting hurt on a job, maybe he breaks his arm or he breaks his leg, not always is the department going to fund their total rehabilitation or help pay their mortgage payment. They have to go on to what they call workman's compensation. And, they're not getting paid. They got to file for benefits. Sometimes that takes weeks or months to start getting a check back in. So some of these smaller departments are really under the gun when they get injured because now they don't know if they're going to get a paycheck again. So that's where the Peace Officers Angel Foundation comes in, and Maria does a great job with trying to supplement those funds so the officer can make that car payment, so the officer could pay that mortgage till they get their money that from workman's compensation or another fund. So not every department is like New York or Chicago where you're out sick. Like New York, you have unlimited sick time. So if you get hurt on a job, you're out, and you're still getting full pay. A lot of departments aren't like that. A lot of departments, that's it. You're hurt, we'll see you when you get, when you're rehabilitated, and hopefully you'll still have your house and your car and everything else, right? I mean, you see it, when an officer gets killed, we see the news and we see the funeral and, the hugs and the kisses, and, it's a sad day in that life. But you have seen the struggles, which is even tougher, because those struggles can go on for months and months and months. With officers who have been paralyzed in car accidents or shot in the neck, they become family, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
They become part of your family.
That, some of them, I know a few that are on their 30th surgery, and even some of these are still being denied, and they need that surgery. They need to feel.
Who denies them the surgery? The workman's compensation claims?
Yes, and a lot of that is, a lot of the cities have hire non-law enforcement to oversee the workman's comp. But now we're very fortunate in Texas to have a liaison that understands, that comes from background of law enforcement, that understands and can oversee all of these workman's comps. But like you were saying, a lot of our officers, the difference there with the fallen and the injured. We pray that, you know, everyone comes home safely, but these injured officers, when they're injured, they're broken. I mean, all they want to do is go back to work and raise their families, you know, be able to support them. And a lot of the depression, a lot of the isolation becomes a part of their life when, you know, they're just waiting for, you know, someone to okay their surgery, or it's delayed, or even the departments might, you know, say, hey, you can't come back after 6 months, you're gone.
Right.
So they lose their jobs, and it's
For
just
doing,
really
they lose
sad.
their job for doing their job.
Exactly. And, you know, and that's why we say, you know, I always refer to Proverbs 3:27. You know, don't ever withhold anything from anyone when it's in your power to help them. So we try to assist, and we don't just write a check and say, here you go, and forget about them. We provide emotional support, and we sit with them at hospitals when they have surgeries. We assist anyway. At Christmas time, we try to send a check to all our officers that we've assisted, and the input that we get back from them is amazing, because I'll give you one example. You know, a family with 4 kids. She said, you know, we were sitting in our truck trying to figure out what we were going to do for Christmas. We had no money. A lot of their paychecks go to 60%.
To medical bills.
Yeah. So she said, and we opened the mail, and there was a check from POAF. And she said, it just made our Christmas for our children. So you don't really know, you know, anything that you can do for those officers, whether to just be at the hospital with them, whether to send them a card and just say, hey, how are you? You know, we're thinking about
Makes a difference.
Just, you know, just to let them know that we care. It's just very important. And those officers don't forget us. And you know what they want to do? After we help them, they say, we want to help the next officer that comes.
They want to pay it forward. I know. See, and that one thing about you, Maria, is you take such pride in your job and a passion, and this is why it becomes emotional for you, because every one of them is family. Everyone is a family. Kind of a tissue. Kind of a tissue. You know, Mongo, if you don't mind, you know, Mongo, you were critically injured in the line of duty in California.
Right.
When that happened, I know you went through a lot of emotions, a lot of emotional, psychological things. But how did the job treat you after the fact?
Okay, so when I was shot, critically wounded, and when Matt was killed, our agency had never gone through anything like that before. So I'm in the hospital, and they're dealing with Matt's funeral. I was in bad shape. I was paralyzed from the neck down for a period of about 4 months. I went on to workers' comp. Now, as far as getting onto workers' comp, for me, it was an instant thing. It just happened. And Burbank was the second agency that I worked for in California. The California agencies are pretty good about getting you on the workers' comp right away. But with workers' comp, you have 365 days per injury. So basically, after your time is up, that's it. You get 1 year per injury.
So your injury, of course, would last way more than a year.
Well, yes and no. I was off of work. The injury occurred in November, and I was off work. I was in the hospital till March, and I was home recovering after that from March to August. But after August, when my kids went back to school, I contacted work and I said I want to come back, obviously in light duty. So they brought me back in a light duty capacity. So they were going to allow me to stay on the job working light duty. They put me in an office position. I was actually due for promotion anyway, so I just they gave it to me. But they gave me BS jobs in the investigative bureau to do, but I was working. So in my case, they were good for me. They were good to me. The department didn't give me any hassles.
Do you think because
But however, there was no outside entity such as yours that was there to support me, and the department didn't have any kind of liaison or ombudsman to interact with me because they had never experienced that before.
That's what I'm saying. Like your incident was pretty much publicized throughout California, right?
Right.
So it was a high priority incident. It was well known throughout California.
Well, and as a result of it, they formed a multi-agency task force that worked for 2 years to eradicate the gang that was responsible. So in that respect, they did a really good job of reacting to the criminal aspect of what was going on, but not my aspect. Now the department, to their credit, and I'll get back to your point in a second, Sideshow. They brought me back light duty, and I continued to go through my rehabilitation therapy. For a while, I was going 5 days a week. Then it got reduced to 3 days a week, then 2 days a week, then 1 day a week. Eventually, the city told me, "You're now done with my rehab."
The city tells you.
The city told me. I was like,
not the doctors. The city tells
right.
you.
I said, "Really?" They said, "Yeah, you're done." I was like, "Okay." I didn't feel done. I mean, I'm not done right now. I go to the gym every day as part of my rehabilitation. I still can't walk for shit. I fall down all the time. I don't have dexterity in my hands. So, am I cured? No. Am I done? No. But the city said I'm done. So I was done. So at that point, my rehab stopped. To their credit, they kept me on. It became problematic. I had some stuff going on, and I finally told my doctor, excuse me, listen, I said, I can't keep doing this. And my doctor said, do not go back to work. And that was it. That's when my retirement started. I mean, he contacted the city and said, my patient is done. Then I had to get the workers' comp attorneys and go through all the lawsuit stuff. I will say to the credit of the city of Burbank, they treated me very good because there was a lawsuit, and the city was not named as part of that lawsuit, even though there was some liability issues. And as a result of that, they didn't come after any of my compensation through the lawsuit, which they had the legal right to do. So I had a good relationship with the city. I can't fault the city of Burbank for anything that they did. However, they didn't know how to deal with me. I had lost my wife to suicide because there were issues with my recovery and my injury.
There was no support network
Absolutely
to help
none.
her through that, right?
They had no idea, and there was nothing for her. There was nothing for me. So things could have been different. Overall, I can't complain about how the city treated me, except for saying that I was done with my therapy, which I didn't think I was. But man, what am I going to do?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think they've learned, as you always do. The first time something happens, like, oh, you know what, we screwed that up. How can we do it differently next time? But there were no organizations on the outside to come in and say, hey, we're here to support you. What can we do to help?
Do you think if there were organizations out there at the time, and like I said, we can't look at the past, we can only look at the future, right? But if there were organizations such as the Peace Officers Angels Foundation that may have been there to support you through your therapy, to support your wife, and you had kids at the time,
right.
So that which made it very, very difficult for anybody emotionally, right? To maybe an outcome would have been a little different. Maybe, I mean, I'm just speculating or hypothetical, but
quite possibly, because you take an organization such as your own, with the experience that you've had with your own son, somebody that can talk to my wife, somebody that can talk to me. I had no idea. I mean, right. I had no idea what was going on with me, much less what was going on with her.
Right. You're just trying to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to be the tough guy. It's like, hey, I'm coming back to work. I'm all good. We had the downed officer ride that initiated their ride from the front of our station that year. And I came out and gave a big speech. I said, you know what? I said, I'll be with you guys riding next year. Who knew it was going to be 14 years later that I could have been doing it. But because I was, I'm invincible. I'll be back on the job full duty within a year. Who knew? So yeah, I needed people to talk. Now I was talking to a psychiatrist, and I continue to talk to the psychiatrist whenever I go back to California. Her specialty was spinal cord injuries, so she gave me a lot of insight what was going on with my body. But I didn't get the help with my family. I didn't get the help with my wife. She didn't get the help that she needed, and it was quite apparent that there was problems. And there was probably a lot of stuff they could have done differently with me. Who knows? I mean,
Right.
I really don't know.
Right. Well, we look at those things, and this is how we grow and progress. And you must see this a lot, Maria.
Yeah, and we do. We have a
families.
spousal support, and that is needed because their voice needs to be heard, like you said, because a lot of times they're the caregivers and they go through a lot. So we do have a spousal support. We have a retreat for our injured officers where they can come together over the weekend and be able to. We may not get it, but like I said, they come together, that special brotherhood that you have. And a lot of times, we're not even realizing. We had a tailgate before our Law Enforcement Appreciation Day one time, and I noticed that some of the officers were kind of staying behind, and I said, "Come on, guys, the game's fixing to start," And one officer, I'll never forget, he came and he said, "Do you mind if I don't go to the game? Would you be offended if we didn't go?" And I said, "Is there something wrong?" He said, "No." He goes, "It's just I've been talking to someone that was shot in the face like I was, and I want to stay and talk to him. I want to be able to just sit here and talk. We want to, we don't want to, we just want to talk." So from that experience, we knew that our officers needed to get together. And just like they have workshops in COPS for all the parents that have lost officers, all the spouses, well, that's what we try to do, is bring these officers together because they get it, they understand, and they need to be together. And, our spouses, like you said, it's very important because they're going through a lot as well.
It's an emotional trauma. I mean, you see your loved one get severely injured or even injured. Right, so right there, that's a shock to the system. And then long-term therapy, we're talking about. You spent 4 months or 5 months, more than that, in a hospital, right? Paralyzed. She doesn't know what's going to happen. From day one, there has to be some sort of emotional backing. There needs somebody for the family to lean on and say, "Am I doing this right? Am I in the right direction?" And that's what we have to, and that's why here at 99, and with Walk the Bridge, and with a Badge of Honor, and the Peace Officers Angel Foundation, this is what we're all trying to put together for our officers. They need support. They have nowhere to go. They don't. And when we start talking about dismantling, funding, and cutting billions of dollars out of their budget, you are actually signing a police officer's and their family's death warrant by removing the needed money and the needed support for our officers.
I don't know if you could hear us when you were downstairs. We were talking about how it seems like with some, like Mayor de Blasio, that police officers are they're expendable items. They're easily replaced, and these support network, like more training, and then the mental health wellness aspects of it are not important, and we know that they are.
Well, I didn't hear that part, but you were right on that, because I was talking to Doug and Carol Hutchinson out there, and Doug's has 39 years on retired, 39 years in law enforcement. And what we start looking at our officers, because they do such a great job out there, we start looking at them as robots, right? That we can program our law enforcement, they're robots, and they will do as we say, and they will act as we tell them to act. And that's just not the truth. They're human beings.
Well, a lot of times, too, the city looks at officers in a binary fashion, zeros and ones. You get an officer with 35 years on that retires, that one becomes a zero. So we have to hire somebody else, make him a one, but they're not equal, because this guy's coming on the job with no experience, and you just lost a guy with 35 years experience. Yes. You can't replace a binary zeros and ones just off of a tally sheet. The city thinks you can do that, but you really can't.
Right, and right now they're looking at officers and they're playing with officers' lives on a budget line item.
Right.
You can't do that. There's just. You will have what you have in Chicago. You will have what you have in New York and Atlanta. You will have crime skyrocketing through the roof. You'll have homicides and robberies and anarchy throughout your cities. This is where the problem lies. Like you said, you start getting rid of the experienced officers, replacing them with new rookie officers. Yes, they're lower pay, but they do not know how to fight crime yet. It takes an officer a good 3 to 5 years to really sink his teeth into the law and order and how to properly patrol. You need those seasoned vets out there. And right now we're losing them by the droves, especially in New York. They're scared. They're gonna retire because they don't want to lose everything they worked for.
Right.
With you, Maria, you see, you hear the inside stories, you hear the heartache. Do you ever go to somebody and all of a sudden they say, the spouse just goes, "I just wish you would retire from the job. I wish you would stop. I worry too much."
I hear that all the time, and unfortunately, even worse, I hear the officers sometimes say, if I had died, things would have been a lot better. Money-wise, for example, insurance, but no, I'm sitting here in this wheelchair, and she's having to take care of me. My children, I can't pick them up anymore. Something that you brought up was that's very important is your department didn't know how to handle that because that was the first time incident. One of the things that we're doing is putting a guide together for our officers, for our departments, agencies throughout Texas. Now, the big cities, they know, they have all the resources, but what about those rural areas? We have so many in Texas, 254 counties. So, we're trying to, we will put something together to give to that department. What happens when an officer is injured? What is the first thing you do? And, help them go through that guide list to help them serve that officer a lot better than they have in the past. And that, I think, is going to be very, very beneficial.
And something that I didn't mention earlier, because I talked about they didn't know how to deal with me, deal with my wife, is I had 2 kids, a teenager and a preteen. They didn't deal with them either. And then when my wife took her life, they still didn't deal with that. But my kids are going through what's happened to me, and now they're going through what's happened to their mother. I got lucky because both my kids came out okay. I mean, they came out great. But my kids needed counseling. I kind of took care of that on my own. I got them off onto some other kind of counseling. But the kids have to be thought about too, because it's all part of the family unit.
Yes, it's a family, because when an officer gets hurt in the line of duty, it's not just the officers, it's the family. It's the family's problem. The whole family hurts. Right. The whole family shares that pain. And here back then and up until only recently have we really started to recognize that, because we're seeing that now that family spouses are actually starting to suffer secondary post-traumatic stress. So you'll see, spouses finding a way to cope with it with alcohol or pills, and now that's just a total breakdown of a family unit, because they don't understand how to cope with those, especially if the husband or wife is not from a first responder background and they just married into this, and they're like, whoa, this is something I didn't expect, and now that starts putting more pressure. There's so many elements, there's so many moving parts within a first responder's life that we are just scratching the surface on. And I got to thank the Peace Officers Angel Foundation 100% for grabbing some of that burden and taking that weight off the shoulders. And if we all can do that, if we could all just grab a 5-pound weight off a family of a law enforcement shoulders, we can lessen that load and really make a difference in guys who go out there and put their lives on the line for strangers. We can do that at bare minimum to help them.
So, Maria, do you have like a website or something that folks can go to? You want to tell us what it is real quick?
Yeah, our website is poaf.org. And then we have over 1,000 4,000 or 5,000 on our Facebook page, Peace Officers Angels Foundation.
And you and I didn't coordinate ourselves this morning, did we, before we came? This is strictly coincidence.
You know, Maria came out to walk the bridge, and you know, she was a big supporter of helping us with post-traumatic stress along with that. And
I had one of our viewers ask about the T-shirts, whether they were available or not, and they were digging at me because they said we must have color coordinated. So I had no idea you were going to come up here with that shirt on whatsoever. But it's a cool shirt nonetheless. And are they available for folks if they wanted to?
We have those available, and we have the Thin Blue Line blankets available. We ordered some. We always think of the children, the families. We've got these. We should be getting them next week. We've got these bears from sheriffs, police. Holy bears is what they're called, and we used to use those with cops, and people loved them. The children especially, because we give that to the children, and they keep it because they know,
security,
kind of
security
they
blanket.
know it's police or it's sheriffs, and there's a lot of things that we are trying to do that, but mainly the most important, I feel like our officers just need that rope that they can hang on to, and we need to be at the other end. We need to make sure that we support them. We don't forget, and I tell the agencies all the time, when you have an officer that's injured, contact him, call him, go mow his lawn, go do something. You never know, how what that isolation does to them, and they just love to hear anything from the department, anything. So we had one deputy that it had been 20 years since he had his accident. He was in a wheelchair. For 20 years, he had one constable that stayed in touch with him. No one from the agency, not one person for 20 years ever asked how he was doing.
Oh, my God.
20 years.
Because out of sight, out of mind. You're not on a job.
I could not believe that.
That's not a lot different than we know. We actually did a EOFR for an officer over in Garland who felt much the same way.
With the car accident, right?
Who got hit by the DWI driver, and he felt like he was left hanging.
That's why I loved having that conversation with Sheriff Wayburn when he came in, and we discussed it, and we were talking about post-traumatic stress, and we were talking about the COVID thing and the whole bit. And Sheriff Wayburn gets on the phone, and he calls the officers individually. Now, he's the head. He's the top dog, right? And he makes that phone call. He takes that time out of his day to take care of his officers in the sheriff's department. And, lead by example. When you see the sheriff, the head of the sheriff's department making that phone call, every sergeant, every captain, every corporal, you know what? They see him doing it. Guess what? They will start doing it. They will start making them phone calls and doing it, because you're exactly right. You can fall into self-isolation so fast because we're brothers. We love the job, and we have that camaraderie. And when we lose that, we feel like, oh my God, it's just like retiring. You retire and you don't have that brotherhood or sisterhood anymore. You feel lost, which brings into the emotional aspect an emotional problem.
And I always, if I can, I always like to tell this story. After my son was killed, and you go through so many stages of grief and but
anger and
other parents that I knew that had lost an officer. I remember one time it was really, really just getting to me, and so I called this couple that had lost an officer as well, and I said, "I'm coming over," and that's all I said, and I hung up. So I drove to Burleson, and they let me in. They fixed me some tea, and I sat there.
Southern hospitality right there.
I sat there for over an hour. I never said a word, and they never said a word. And I tell people that was the best conversation I ever had. And they, people don't, they don't understand, but But you do, because I knew that I didn't have to talk. I didn't have to cry. I didn't have to do anything. Just sit there, because I knew that I could feel loved.
Right.
I could feel that. And
You were shouldering their pain.
yes, and it's we as human beings, that's the five senses and the touch and everything that happens. It's so important with our injured officers and their families. It's just very important.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what we're forging forward. Let me see what time we got. I'm just going to bring up a quick story, and this is where we can't drop the ball. If anybody read my Facebook post from today, we had an EMT, a paramedic, down by the Houston area. And when we talk about post-traumatic stress, she's still on the job. She has had a very, very rough couple of months, and in the last 2 weeks became very overloaded. And she sat in her car and contemplated, because she's a paramedic, she doesn't own a firearm, so she contemplated running her car off a bridge to take her own life because she couldn't take no more. She called her clergy, who gave her some very horrible advice. She called the federal suicide hotline, tried to get help, and the person who answered the phone after she heard the story started crying uncontrollably that this person who was in need, this paramedic, had to console the 911, the federal hotline person. She got no help there. She went to a hospital to try to get some help, and they were more concerned about her insurance. So that's 3 strikes right there. She said that's it. She got frustrated. She was done. She decided to Google one more name, PTSD, and she came up with the PTSD of America. So
Bruce McElhenney.
she reached out to Bruce. Bruce McElhenney spent about 2 hours on the phone with her. They bonded. He talked her down. He got her calm and promised help. Bruce called me the next day, saying he had no resources out by Houston that could help her. So me and Sam put our heads together through a badge of honor, and we called Help for Heroes. We networked with the people that we've met. We spoke to Kevin Zimmerman over at Help for Heroes. He immediately took the ball. It was like a football game. We passed the ball off, so we were able to score. And Kevin got in touch with her down there, got her the help she needs. The first try didn't turn out as well as we wanted it to be because it didn't fit into this paramedic schedule, but we didn't give up. And right now Kevin's working on getting her into a program that fits her schedule, and she's still alive. We didn't lose her, and that's what we need more in this country, is the networking of resources that are going to not just put you aside. We lose too many officers that get frustrated because they feel that they have nowhere to turn. You always have a place to turn. You can't give up. We have 90 suicides this year alone, and we are only halfway through the year. I don't want to see any more.
I think, unfortunately, Sideshow, if that were a police officer, they might not have gone through 4 phone calls or 4 attempts. Maybe one, it's like, done.
Yeah, you're right.
Because of the attitude that not only the officers have themselves, but that the agencies have and their peers have, that it's a stigma, it's your problem, and you're weak for it.
Yep.
And they got to get rid of that.
You're 100% right. I mean, if this was a law enforcement officer, we may be at 91 today, because you're right, the frustration level would have been too much. So All right, we're just going to we're almost ready to wrap up. Got a couple
close.
more minutes. I want to thank everybody who came out to Back the Blue today. This was a wonderful event, and I hope to have more in a little cooler weather.
I just want to say one thing that I haven't looked into this, but I'm going to. But Shiner just sent us a note that said that Ford has donated millions to the Defund the Police movement.
Ford
Motor.
Ford Motor.
I haven't looked into that, but I will. That's what Shiner says. I don't have any reason to doubt him because
He's straight up. He checks his facts.
he checks his facts. And he's also a Kevin Harvick fan.
There are a lot of people, a lot of companies jumping on the defund the bandwagon. They are jumping on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon. They are dividing this country. It's unacceptable because, for Ford to put money to defund the police, that doesn't even make sense. What are you giving millions of dollars to defund the police?
Well, and look at the police.
And what are they doing with that? What
are they doing with the money?
That money?
I have no
Here's
idea.
$1 million
Like I said,
to fund the police.
Yeah.
That goes into de Blasio's pocket?
I haven't looked at this. I'm just saying what Shiner wrote.
Right.
I don't think Shiner would BS us.
No, not at all.
Right.
But someone who's
But what does Ford have to gain? Because look at all the police vehicles on the road nowadays.
Right.
They're
Most
probably
of them
about
are Fords.
90% Fords.
Right. But how would you're donating millions to defund? That doesn't we're gonna have to check into that, and that's gonna be part of your monologue next week.
Maybe they're donating it to the groups that are calling for
It could be.
defunding the police.
It could be. It could be.
And swapping that up to social programs or whatever. It is.
Like I said, I don't have a problem funding or moving funds, not necessarily from police training funds, but from city funds into other programs to keep the police from going on all of you were
Right.
out of the. I don't know if you heard us talking, but we don't need to be going on all the check the well-being on mental health issues all the time. There are times when we're going to have to go and back somebody up because somebody has to go to a hospital and they're not going to want to go.
Right.
I can see that. But the police nowadays are spending a lot of their time, a majority of their time, on these check the well-being mental health issues that aren't necessarily police calls. I agree with that. But you don't know what's going to turn into a police call.
Right, but real quick. But here lies the problem too. Okay, you start moving money away. See, the police department's management, they are the most scrutinized budget in any city or state. Right. They have watchers, checks and balances, and watches, right? De Blasio in New York gave his wife $1 billion for the Thrive program for the community to thrive.
She got a nice salary out of that, though.
Wait,
didn't she?
took $1 billion. Not a thing was done. Can't account for any of the money. Nobody knows.
Police agencies are usually bound by contract to pay their officers what they pay them. So the money that they're taking away from the agencies, the cities can't take it out of their salaries. So they have to take it. They have to take it from where they can find it, and where they're going to find it is the police training budgets and the equipment budgets. Those are the budgets they're going to suffer.
Right. All right. Before we wrap up, Maria, you got any closing statements for today? We want to thank you so much for being a part of this today, and thank your organization, the Peace Officers Angels Foundation. Check them out at www.poaf.org. They are a 501c3, so they are not funded by anybody but themselves. They are self-funded. So check out these T-shirts. Check out the teddy bears. Buy a teddy bear for a family member. So all that money goes into helping our law enforcement throughout Texas. So once again, Maria, thank you so much for you and your organization for what you guys do.
Thank you. And all our organization is all volunteers.
All
we
volunteers.
do not have any paid board members. It's all volunteers.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you have a lot of them. You do have a lot of them. That's a lot of people who care. Mongo, any closing?
Thank you, everyone that came out today for our Back to Blue program. There was some technical issues at the beginning, but we overcame them. Thank you, Maria, for showing up, coming out and talking to us. Again, thank you all for showing up today. And 12.
Good job out there, buddy. Under trying circumstances, I liked it. Now we know.
I can't wait to see it
because next time
the sun was so heavy outside I couldn't even see or hear anything. So
Thank you again to all our faithful listeners and viewers. Happy birthday to us.
That's right. 1 year today. Thank God. And, like I said, we were in 43 countries. 48 countries. We got a viewership of over 50,000 per show now. It's really taken off. And if we knew anything about social media or technical, we'd probably be double that.
Probably
right?
so.
Probably. So once again, until next week, please take care of our law enforcement. Take care of their families. Do not, stand by them. Show your support. Raise those flags high. We are their voice. And until next week, man, God bless you all. Stay safe. Stay protected. And we're out.